Live from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's round 2, race 3 of the Fast Family League Showdown. We are going to see Unbound Racing, ranked number 10th, take on Thursday Night Thunder Series, ranked lucky number 13. I'm Rick James, 36, joined by Tennessee Vols. Terry, welcome to Mid-Ohio. What an exciting race we have today. The first race in the second round here in Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be here and be commentating this race. I was gearing up to prepare to watch this one for the race tomorrow, but due to unfortunate circumstances, we're going to pass it on to Sprite, and they're going to go carry the flag, and they're going to battle with the CRL League. So I have a pleasure to be here. It's good to be working with you tonight.
It's a fantastic pleasure to be working with you tonight. Alongside as well, playing as race control, but also as recap control, we have the Fast Family League Showdown Commissioner, Mr. Slidejob 1996. Commissioner, we had some exciting racing last night.
Yeah, actually it was a couple days ago, but yeah, it was absolutely exciting. We wrapped up Watkins Glen, the second race at the track. A great goodbye. We had the Wolfpack Racing League versus the Online Motorsports Association. Definitely a good one, and a little nerve-wracking with OMA having a couple lag out after only starting with 8 drivers, and they seemed to pull off a miracle. Having 6 drivers finish the race, they came home with a cool 315 to 194 after penalties. A big shout out to Bit Skydiver, who almost took the entire sweep, getting almost full points with 56, leading OMA. Big shout out to Symphony and Marley, leading the WPRL boys with 43, and his partner in crime, Top Wage, with 44. So shout out to those two guys for that league. Unfortunately, unfortunately for them, OMA moves on to the next round. And and speaking about past results, we have 2 teams here tonight that won their way into round 2. Unbound is the 10th seed team. They got there by defeating WSRL at Homestead, 376 to 168. A pretty big margin of victory there. We also have Thursday Night Thunder, aka TNT, getting their victory against White Lightning Racing League, 353 to 291. So 2 closely even matched teams going head-to-head at Mid-Ohio in the first race of the tournament at this track. So definitely an exciting one. But, unfortunately, we did have something not so awesome happen this week. Unfortunately, as a lot of you have heard, we did lose a racing community member. J. Lee Cox Jr., aka GRM Joker 93, has passed. We found out about this earlier today. He was a driver for the Sprite Cup Series and a driver in many of the leagues throughout this competition. And we got the news, and it's heartbreaking. So I'm going to pass it off to I'm Rick James to talk a little bit more about Mr. J.
As you may have just heard, today is a very sad day for not only the Fast Family League Showdown, but the NASCAR Heat community as a whole. J. Lee Cox Jr., known as GRM Joker, was not only a friend to a lot of us in this tournament, but he was an integral part of his racing community. An incredible passion for video games, an incredible passion for racing. A lot of his friends knew him from the Fallout 76 and Call of Duty communities. A big fan of Luke Combs and all things music. He was an excellent guitar player, and when he's not playing guitar, he's playing Xbox with the rest of us here. He's survived by his father and his son, a comedian and a jokester, constantly striving to take the best out of every situation handed to him. A great friend and an even better advice giver. Today, we commemorate not only the memory, but we celebrate the life of J. Lee Cox Jr.
Absolutely, that was well said. This race, as Rick mentioned, will be a tribute race where not just all of us in the booth and in the officials' pen there, but all the drivers and all of you at home. We ask that you keep him and his family and friends in your prayers. I fortunately got the honor to race with him. He was absolutely one of the best people that I've ever raced with. He was, always lighthearted, always had a joke and a smile no matter what was going on, even in the toughest races. And he always could, lighten the mood for all of us. And I'm gonna miss him quite a bit. I know he's watching all of us, and I hope that all of you feel the same way. I'm gonna pass it off to Ford. He has a few words too.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely, and we love every single one of the drivers in our racing community, no matter where they come from or who they are. Everyone is special. Everyone brings something to this community. And I believe Terry also had a few words.
yeah, it's really tough. I got a chance to race with him in American Ethanol in our first round against the Sprite League. He stepped up in a big way and went and helped them out. And he wasn't asked to. He volunteered his services to go race for a team that was missing people. And that's something that you can say about his personality and his character is he was willing to help anybody. We made a joke because he was, no offense to the Sprite League, but he basically carried the team in the top five and did what he could do to keep them in the fight and to keep us from sweeping it. Uh, and we made a joke at one another after the race, just chit chatting in a party, that he was going to go win the NNR championship in the trucks. And I said, well, you have to beat me to it because I'm going to go race it too. And we did the tryouts together, and it was phenomenal to race with him at Dega and Canadian Tire, and I pushed him, and we had a laugh after the race that I beat him, and he thought it was funny that I'm going to get the nod to go and he's going to come too. We played 2K together. We played in American Ethanol. We raced with those guys, and it was just an honor to get to know him and to get to laugh with him and talk about our close proximities. North Carolina boy, and I live down here in Georgia. It's a sad day, but if there's one thing that I know is he was a NASCAR guy to the bone, and that he loved this tournament. He was passionate about it. He wants to see good, clean racing, and tonight we're gonna do that. We're gonna switch gears and we're gonna walk over and we're gonna do qualifying and we're gonna begin this race with heavy hearts. And in honor of him as well, the team that he helped carry up there is gonna race tomorrow night, and that's gonna be an honor and a privilege to watch those men race in his honor. Uh, but thanks everybody for tuning in and paying tribute to Joker. He was not only a hell of a racer, but he was a hell of a man. And I pray for his son and his family that they get over this. We're going to turn our attention to the race and hope for the best in his memory. So rest in peace, man.
Well said. And last note on that too. We have set up a GoFundMe to give something to his family, because we know they are going through a very rough time. So if you can and would like to contribute to that, you can either see me or Ford, or go on all of the NASCAR Heat pages. You'll find links to it. We really appreciate that. It means a lot.
With heavy hearts, we do plow on. We thank you, all the fans, for joining us, for sharing your well wishes for us this evening. But as Terry says, we're going to switch gears and head into qualifying very shortly. The drivers are finishing up their last minute instructions, and we're going to get racing, as we all wish to do, as Jay would have wished to do in his honor. Stay tuned. Grab yourself a cold drink. Grab yourself a comfortable seat. We are just a couple minutes away from the qualifying session, and right after that, we're going to throw the green flag at Mid-Ohio.
It sucks. I just raced with him last night.
You're hot.
I'm sorry. Hey, do we
We're here, Pizza.
We're
We're
hot.
live. We're missing just one driver.
Mhm.
Okay. As soon as they get in here, okay, tell me should be good. I can't do this. Yeah, I don't know.
Back with you on the Fast Family League Showdown. I'm Rick James, 36, joined by Terry and joined by the MC Warrior, also known as Pizza Wayne. Pizza, welcome to the show. Welcome to Mid-Ohio here in Lexington. We are ready for the first Mid-Ohio race of this second round. How do you fancy this difficult test track at this Grade 2 FIA track?
Hey man, thank you very much, James, for having me. Nice to meet you and all the other commentators here tonight. I'm looking forward to it, man. I haven't raced at the Mid-Ohio course much, but I know it is a freaking amazing track. A lot of twists and turns, and a lot of strategy is going to have to be used heading into this race. But I'm looking forward to tonight's racing. I haven't seen any of the practice or qualifying yet, so it's anyone's game so far. But when we get out there and look at the qualifying times, we'll know who we favor. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome night. Glad to be up here with you guys. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. We're going to get this fired up so we can catch this qualifying here. Terry, this track has been around since 1962, but something that we have not seen yet are the Cup cars coming to Mid-Ohio. The original road course at 2.5 miles has now been shortened to just under 2 1/3, with the lap record being just over a minute, set by Simone Pagenaud in an Indy car. It won't be lap times that we're going to see anywhere near, but still expect to see blistering pace by some very heavy and difficult to drive race cars.
Yeah, it's not something we haven't seen. Cup cars here. I know some leagues go in and do this track. It's not very often that leagues want to put themselves on tracks that they're not accustomed to running. And this track in particular is very heavy on the brakes. There's a lot of turns in here that are banked, that it's very hard. You will hot when you get into the corner. You got to be very patient when it comes to getting in the brakes and getting back on the gas to avoid losing the rear end of the car. I'm very anxious to see how these two leagues right here, coming in a high contested match, how are they going to handle coming off of turn 1, coming off of turn 3. It's going to be very intriguing to watch this match from the green flag until the checkers come out.
You're seeing Mr. Slidejob right now, who is leading the parade of race cars down this first corner. Let's talk about this first corner, Terry, because you see the rumble strips in that turn 1 area. That's going to be out of bounds for a lot of these drivers, and they're going to need to manage their tires, especially in the latter laps of their tire runs.
Yeah, it's very important to get to roll that corner as much as you can. You can go in, you can stay in third, you can roll down to second, get the car to kind of shift around, get it right above those rumble strips. But if you get below them, you're right, that's out of bounds. You're gonna have to stop or serve a pass through or stop on the track off the track for about 2 seconds. That's your way to get off a pit road. You want to come off pit road under those rumble strips, and it kind of keeps you away from the competitors on the actual racing surface itself. So we got a lot of good cars in here tonight. It's I think they're going to be able to manage it well, but if you put an inch down there, or if you get on those rumble strips, it could end your day possibly.
Absolutely. You mentioned these rosters before. Let's take a minute to go through these rosters. Terry, let us know who's racing for Unbound tonight.
Well, down there in the 38 car, you got Big Spur 14, followed by the man in the 3, the Madman 35. The 4 car is going to be piloted by Richard Iceberg. The 10 is G Nasty 3006. The 12 by Racing Rocks 24. The 14 is P Man 445. 22 Hurricane Lane 22. 47 Sports Fan 2319. The 88 by YXNG Bub S14. And the 96 by Keith to 6950. No. There you go. That's Unbound.
Starting for Thursday Night Thunder Series in the number 1 car is going to be Jacket FND with driving the number 6 tonight. Nifty Agenda 8894. Richie C in the number 9 car. Mark the Fat Shark in the 18. Crotum in the 19. Davy Jones piloting that number 21 Wood Brothers Mustang. Bo 77 in the 24. Twisted Navy in the 32. Jeep driving the number 42 car tonight, and Tristan rounding out that Thursday Night Thunder field in the number 48 Ally Camaro. Substitutes for both teams for Thursday Night Thunder Series, COT Tommy, who is normally playing the role of team captain, will be sitting on the sidelines today as a substitute. Quiet is going to be that second substitute, Dirt to Daytona, rounding out the subs for TNT. Then we have Memphis X in the number 8, TG White Shadow in the 41, William Byron in the 73, who will be rounding out the substitute lineup for Unbound. Wayne, we're getting ready to go qualifying. You see the 3 cars peeling off, the 22 just behind him. What will these drivers have to do to put in the fastest lap possible?
Man, it's anyone's game. You definitely can't be going full send mode on these corners. Some of them you have to take it easy on. Some of them you have to really eye up. It all depends on how your car is handling, what preset you're on, and how good of a driver you are. Heading into this course, personally, I've only raced here a few times on Heat 5, so I personally don't know how to take these corners, but if I'm a driver and I don't have a crazy amount of practice, I'm going to take it a little easy here, maybe start mid-pack, but then make my way up going into stage 2.
It's going to be very difficult to make your way through this track. It's not the widest road course in the world, and it is notorious for drivers losing control. Terry, the tires are going to be wearing at a very fast rate, and even fuel strategy could be the deciding factor. In this first stage, when we're going to have 20 drivers packed like sardines, what can these drivers do to keep space from each other and break out into an early lead?
Hey, you're going to have to attack this road course. It's not often you hear anybody say attack a road course. Everybody wants to take it easy and be on pins and needles, but I'm telling you now, here at Mid-Ohio, you want to attack, but you also want to be relaxed. I'm watching the 38 go around the track, and he's went off course twice already, and that was just on his warm-up lap. He's having a hard time getting down to the braking zones, but if you're going to get out to a big lead here, you're going to have to be smooth, you're going to have to be smart. You're going to make sure you're shifting properly. If you're on a shifter and you're racing with the wheel, your hands are going to be tired, man. I practiced for 4 hours here last night, and my hands and my arms were tired. I did not want to do anything else today. It's just going to be really important to be smart and technical around here and hit every corner like you're running a qualifying lap.
It's going to be very taxing on these drivers. Running qualifying laps consistently at Mid-Ohio is going to be trouble. You see Big Spur in the 38 having to back off heavily, nearly losing control of his hot rod. That number 38 Mustang, I don't know if he's on a cool down lap or not, but he really is caning it at every opportunity. As we come around these corners, let's see if we can get with one of these drivers who can complete a full lap for us. I think we'll have to wait for one of the Thursday Night Thunder drivers to start their attempt. In the meantime, one thing we need to discuss is what's at stake. So far, the bye has not been claimed as we continue to wait for these drivers to finish their rounds. It's going to take something incredibly special and talent the likes of which we've never seen. Wayne, how difficult is Mid-Ohio not only for a singular driver, but for 10 drivers to put together a team effort?
Matt, it is really hard to scout out a great team to take on these road courses, and especially take on the 1.5 mile tracks and everything else. It's going to be a very difficult race here tonight, but these teams, they've been putting them together for a long time, and they've been practicing for probably a few days here. So I think they could have what it takes. We got 10 drivers on each team, I believe. So it's definitely going to be a big, crowded racetrack here tonight. You're going to want to stay calm, like you said, but also be very aggressive. We're going to have to see how the racing style goes as we get into the race, but qualifying so far has been pretty good.
It's been very good so far. Let's hitch a ride on the hood of the number 21 Motorcraft Ford. Davy Jones, who's going to be starting for Thursday Night Thunder, is coming around the final 2 corners, and let's see how he gets out of the carousel down the front stretch. Terry, this first corner is going to be very, very tight, and drivers will need to stay out of that pit exit. You see already Davy Jones going wide down the stretch and into the keyhole.
Yeah, it's very important to get a good run off of 1. It shoots you up into a shorter straightaway to get you into turn 2. You want to get really tight along the curb. You want to get a straight shot off of it as much as possible to set you up going into the small little kink they have right here, heading down into this really heavy braking zone going into turn 3. Let's see how quick he gets on the brake there. Looks like he starts slowing down pretty early. He's starting to wiggle the car, get all the way down along that curb, swing it wide going into 4 to get a run down the hill going into 5. It's a really heavy braking zone right here as well. Coming off into this short right-hander into the left-hander, and then back down this hill to set you up for the final couple turns here. Up the hill he goes. Oh, it looks like he went a little wide there onto the curb. Then you shift down here into, it should be 3rd gear right here, coming into, I think this is turn 7. Coming into turn 8 right here. He went wider than he should have. So you want to stay really below that curve there coming into the final curve. You want to get as straight as possible off there to set up for a good successful run down the front straightaway. It looked like a pretty good lap with maybe 2 or 3 mistakes in there. It was very good to see that lap. I think he put together one of the best laps I've seen so far.
Rich, you see USA now coming around out of that final corner, what they call the carousel section into 1 and the chute down the keyhole. Wayne, you can see just how difficult it is for these drivers to keep 4 tires off those rumble strips. What do you believe is going to be the hardest part of this Mid-Ohio sports car course?
Man, just like you said, the rumble strips are going to play a big factor in this race. You want to keep the most traction you can in those cars, and it's very hard to do because the rumble strips will definitely lose your traction. So if I'm a driver, I'm trying to stay off the rumble strips while being competitive and trying to keep a fast car here today. So we'll see how it goes. I think another thing is definitely going to be the braking into these corners. With all the other drivers, the first few laps, you're figuring out everyone's braking zones, not trying to make contact with other drivers and keep it clean. So I think that is going to be another key factor here tonight.
A massive key factor. The drivers patiently waiting. It looks like qualifying is done. They're just waiting for these drivers to finish up the session. So we'll patiently wait while these cars wait to finish up their qualifying session. Green flag just a few minutes away. And guys, I know it's going to be difficult to make predictions at this racetrack, but if we've seen any of these drivers handle their way around road courses, you can bet drivers like Big Spur, White Shadow, Keithda are going to be some of the biggest names to watch for Unbound, as you would have Davy Jones, Crotum, and the lone Canadian for TNT, Nifty Agenda, turning in some fast laps. Patiently waiting for these drivers to finish up the qualifying session. You see Commissioner Slide Job disconnected. So we will patiently wait for these guys to make their way back around. Terry, how do you feel these guys are going to do?
Man, I'd be lying if I said I knew, but I have a wild feeling that this race right here is going to be wild. It is going to be incredible. The guy I'm keeping an eye on tonight, is the lone Canadian. I think he's I feel like he has a really good chance here. I've seen him on a couple leaderboards throughout the week. I paid close attention to the rosters. I looked at the leaderboards all week long, and the name just kept popping up. And if you see a guy popping up on there, I don't know how much practice Unbound did online, but I have a wild feeling that Thursday Night Thunder is bringing some heat tonight, and we're gonna hope for a good show going into 1.
It's going to be a heavy show indeed now with Nifty Agenda. The drivers just waiting for the qualifying timer to come to an end, and then they can get in order, and we will go green once again. We're going to take this opportunity to catch our breaths, catch ourselves a nice cold drink. Do the same. We're going to stick right here at Mid-Ohio, and we'll be back with that green flag. You are watching round 2 of the Fast Family League Showdown from Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. You see the drivers filing around the keyhole. The qualifying session has ended. We are going to kindly back ourselves out of this lobby, and then we are going to get racing for this exciting event at Mid-Ohio. Right, scrolling through this TNT field, see the drivers coming to a halt. Terry, Wayne, we're going to remove ourselves and get going here. Pit strategy could come into effect, but certainly any yellows could throw off that strategy whatsoever. Terry, I'll throw it to you. You can play the crew chief for this first question. Do you go to tire management first, or is it all about fuel for you?
It's all about fuel for me. I'll play the fuel any day of the week. You get 6 laps of fuel on 3 times wear here at Mid-Ohio. So the more that you can save going into neutral, shifting down, staying in fourth, doing what you can do to not get back on the gas as quickly as possible and to save yourself from shifting. If you know you're not going to win the race in the first stage, you might want to go ahead and just start shifting. You might want to start playing with the shifter a little bit, playing with the throttle, half throttling as much as you can. The guys that are in the back, maybe fifth on back, you want to go into strategy mode quicker than later. You're only going to be able to save maybe 2-3 laps of fuel if you play it correctly. So it's going to be very interesting to see the comers and goers in this race. But tires, to me, don't mean anything. If you're not pushing the car, you're really not going to be tearing the tires up as much as you would if you're in the first 5 actually chasing the leader. So.
Absolutely. You can say that tires are going to be one of the most important parts of these cars today. However, Wayne, what can a driver do to maximize fuel mileage at Mid-Ohio?
Well, most of the turns you're going to want to be going half throttle, usually off the gas in the turns. During the straightaways, if you don't have a lot of people near you, you can half throttle, or if you're in someone's draft, you can half throttle. Same goes for super speedways and stuff like that. And I think you could definitely use that on the road course. But another option is also not getting the gas as much. So you'll definitely be slower than the field, but if you want to run mileage on the gas compared to being the fastest on the track, that's a way to win the race. So I don't know what everyone's strategies are going into the race. I think everyone wants to be the fastest. But if you're not, I'm definitely going for fuel strat here tonight.
Fuel strategy is going to be important. So we say fuel's important, we say tires important. It's all going to be important. Cars staying off each other, cars giving each other enough space to maneuver around this 2 1/3 mile racetrack. Terry, how important is it for a driver to calm their nerves? Because at this point, win or go home means a lot more than it did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's super important. You don't want to overdrive any corner. You don't want to mess up somebody else's race and get a warning or a penalty. You also don't want to cost your team. If the officials have to keep giving you warnings or penalties throughout the race, that starts to get more frustrating than just the track itself. You know, it's a 10-turn road course, very tight corners. You don't want to make a mistake and call somebody else from the other team or your own team. You know, it's important for the league owner to calm them down, to not panic, just to be relaxed about it, and hope that at the end of the race your team's out on top.
Don't accept that yet.
Being out on top is what they strive for, and we're going to see how they get along in these first couple of laps. Sitting here waiting for the race to get underway. One last chance before the action glues you to your couch. We thank the fans for joining us tonight. Once again, I'm Rick James, 36, joined by T Vols, 88, 33, and the MC Warrior, aka Pizza Wayne. We are ready to get going here at Mid-Ohio. As we load into this race, we're going to commemorate our friend, our late friend, Jay Cox Jr., who we lost earlier today, with an opening lap of silence. Once again, if you're just joining us when you haven't been brought up on the news, a tragic passing in our community today. Jay Lee Cox Jr. passed today at the very young age of 24. He is survived by his father and his son, and in the spirit of commemoration, in the spirit of community and love, we go racing tonight in his honor. With heavy hearts and open minds, this green flag and opening lap of this Fast Family League Showdown race is for J. Lee Cox Jr. May he rest in peace. With Mark the Fat Shark, who leads the first lap at Mid-Ohio, leading the 19 and the 6 down into the keyhole. 18, 19, 6 into this second corner, the long, wide hairpin, one of the most difficult corners of the track, and we're going to use that D word a lot tonight, Terry. What a difficult and very skill-necessary racetrack this is, but so far, Mark the Fat Shark seems to have a good handle in that 18 Interstate Camry.
Yeah, he seems to be doing well as a 19 is going to shoot down next to him. As you see right now, the top three are being dominated by TNT. They pulled away to a pretty decent lead. There's already been a wreck back there in the back. The 38 has spun. A couple other cars had damage throughout the first lap. And somebody said in the chat here that the officials are going to have a busy night tonight. Well, yes, sir. So are you. Strap in. Let's get ready for a hell of a race here at Mid-Ohio. And let's hope that it stays clean and green.
Wayne, the 22 of Hurricane Lane, sitting in fourth. Behind him, his Penske teammate and Unbound teammate, the 12 of Racing Rocks. These top three drivers held by TNT, but they're bunched together and holding each other up at the moment. Meanwhile, the 22 and the 12, exiting the carousel and completing the second lap at Mid-Ohio, have been put on a mission for Unbound. It hasn't been the best start so far. You see the 14 of P-Man went around, the 18 of Young Bubs has already lagged out, so they're at a disadvantage. What is the mentality, Wayne, for Unbound to overcome and come through into the lead?
Man, you're going to have to work together as teammates, even though you're right behind each other. You're going to let each other race, give each other some space, and try to rack up as many points as you can for the team. You want to try and get as many drivers as you can into that top 10 and try to keep it consistent. The 12 dives into there, almost hits his teammate of the 22. But I was watching the beginning of the race while we were being silent, taking that silent lap. Like you said, there was a lot of wrecks, which definitely affected some of the drivers. But I'm going to keep my eye on the 12 so far, as he's currently, I believe, 5th, and keeping it pretty smooth so far, other than almost getting into his teammate. It's going to be an interesting race. I'm going to be here mid-pack, and we'll see how it goes.
You saw at the front, before we cut to the number 9 of Richie C USA, new leader number 19, Crotum taking the lead from his teammate. Up ahead, you mentioned that 12, Wayne. That 12 being driven for Unbound, piloted by Racing Rocks 24. And Richie C. USA getting into the wall just outside the carousel. The parked Mountain Dew Camaro having to back up, and with a big slam to his front end. And what was a good start for Thursday Night Thunder, Terry, is already starting to show, and the 9's off again. Terry, it's a disastrous start for TNT in the 9 team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to this race right here is the fact that you could dominate the top 3. You could dominate it all night. Stage 1, Stage 2, and the race finish. But the real battle's going to come from 5th on back. As the 12 car just shoves the 6 car off the track. Oh, man. My gosh. What
I was trying to say before, there's a big battle going in front of the 12 with the 22 and the other driver who got bombarded by the 12. He got on the brakes a little late and locked them up and pushed that car all the way into the dirt. Probably going to have some type of penalty for that, fortunately.
Man, the battles back here in the back are going to be incredible.
Race Control getting on the horn to Racing Rocks 24 in the 12
car around. The 12's off the track.
Gone around. The 12's gone around on the stretch on the south side of the racetrack, and it's been a horrible start for the 9 and the 12 team alike. You see the 21 of Davy Jones and the Motorcraft Mustang sneaking up to the Advanced Auto Parts Mustang being driven by Racing Rocks. Nifty Agenda, OVO as he's known around the TNT ranks, Ontario's very own, holding his own, but still facing down a tough challenge from that 12. He should be weary, and he should be leery to know that that 12 car is coming with a head full of steam. Meanwhile, at the back, Richie C. USA holding off a challenge from the 32 of Twisted Navy, who's trying to keep the 38 of Big Spur from taking that position, and heavy contact
big battle there.
38's in the grass. Big battle down the straight and into the keyhole.
This is a very hard turn because you got to be on the brakes.
Yeah, the biggest battle is going to be back here in the back, 5th on back. Like I said, you could dominate Stage 1, Stage 2 up front, but if you don't get the teens correctly and you can't battle to get the points at the end of the race, that's what really can win or lose this race. Stage points, you could throw them out the window here on the road course. You could save fuel back here. The 38, if I was the 38 and the 32, I would be back here saving fuel right now. You've already lost the leaders. You've already lost them. Like, what do you have to gain? You're not going to catch the leaders at this moment. If you back the corners up, start saving fuel, start saving your car, and then whenever they start pitting, you can just go past them, and then you can go get stage points, and then you can set yourself up for a better finish at the end of the race. Like, you're probably not gonna win the race if you're back here battling and falling off the track. Just go ahead and start saving stuff.
You see the 3 of the Madman 55 having to pull to the side of the racetrack. He's been issued a stop-and-go penalty by Race Control for cutting one of the corners. We have Tristan in the 48 moving up. You mentioned the 24 car of Bo 77. He's going once again, but he almost lost control of his race car. Terry, these guys are having a hard time hanging on to their cars in these opening laps.
Yeah, man, I'm watching them get back on the gas, coming out of these tight braking zones. It's very hard to train yourself to not get back on the gas as hard as possible, because coming out of these tight corners, if the moment you get back on the gas, the rear end wants to slide around. You want to come all the way off the corner and get the car going straight before you start mashing it down to the end. That's going to avoid you to stay on the track and to not go into the grass and cause yourself more of a headache than this track already is.
Bo 77 getting back on it right now, chasing down the 96, 38, and 41, but you can see the 96 has gone off the racetrack. Keefta in that 96 Camry's gone off, gifting the position to Bo 77 in the Exalta Camaro. Back with Racing Rocks in the 12 Advanced Auto Parts Mustang, making his way through that carousel with damage, getting 2 wheels on the inside grass, 2 wheels on the outside grass. He's headed into pit road. He's going to be the first taker coming down. Terry, this could be strategy. This could be. And you can see the 22 is in as well, so a couple of Unbound cars coming in. The 21 of Davy Jones and the 6 of Nifty Agenda now coming in. So Terry, that answers my question. This is strategy.
Yeah, I think the whole team really realizes that they're not up there battling with the TNT guys, that if you're on back, you're not going to lose a lap here at Mid-Ohio unless you speed or have something astronomical happen to you coming onto pit road. You're not going to lose a lap. This is a 10-turn road course. You have a chance to play the fuel mileage game. And if you get a good enough lead on the guys behind you, you could possibly not even lose a position here. If the leader's 22 seconds ahead, being on pit road's 35 seconds. I timed it last night. A guy was beating me by 35 seconds. I pitted, he pitted, and I caught up. He caught me as soon as he got off pit road. So you're not going to lose much of a lap here. So why not? I mean, the 22 has nothing to lose with Unbound. Get some stage points and have some fun with it.
You can see the 14 of P-Man trying to get around Mark the Fat Shark in the number 18 Interstate Camry. A tough battle through the carousel. Those tire marks ingrained into that dirt, and Wayne, the 18, peels in. So it looks like TNT is playing an early pit strategy in these opening 7 laps.
Yeah, we had a lot of drivers head into pit road just a few minutes ago. As you see the 18 head into there. A bunch of drivers pitted last lap, actually. So the 18 not having too bad of a strategy here. Probably not going to lose too many spots, if none at all. I was keeping an eye over on the 22 and all of them. They were having some big battles before. And one of the drivers actually almost got wrecked. There was a car that was stopped in the grass, and it just came onto the track and almost got bombarded. But great racing so far. I've been in the mid-pack, back of the pack, and there's been a lot of battles going on so far. So not just the front of the pack you want to watch for that lead changes, you want to watch in the back for those amazing racing.
The 41 of White Shadow making his way through the carousel section, the final few corners at Mid-Ohio. He's going to forgo pit road, chasing down his teammate in the number 3. That's the Madman 35, now completing lap 7, getting onto lap 8. Now we have just less than 16 laps to go. G Nasty now completing his 7th lap, also racing for Unbound. Keefta in the 96 has regained control once again. As we scroll through the field, you see TBR Pride in the 57 stuck in the infield and has been for some time. So another driver seemingly off and almost out of this race for Unbound. Richard Iceberg in the 4, sitting in pit road, getting his repairs. Scrolling through Mark the Fat Shark in the number 19 of Crotum, who makes his way through the carousel. He leads this race, now completing lap 8 and headed on to lap 9 of 22 in this opening stage. Wayne, the 19, hasn't pitted yet. His tires have got to be shredded.
Yeah, man, I think his like I was saying, I think his strat is maybe he's just going to wear out the car, get a splash of fuel, and make it to the end of the stage. But it's definitely going to be a risky move, because if you're the slow car and the slow tires, it's definitely going to bring you down a few seconds, and the back of the pack is going to catch you. I'm currently watching the 96 battling out with the 9, I believe, in the middle of the pack, and they are going neck and neck right now. 96 trying to make a move. They're dead even out of the turns. And a lot of the problems these drivers have been having is braking zones. They've been getting into the dirt a lot and are racing super hard, but I kind of expected that. We're at a road course. It's something that's hard to tackle, and it's definitely something you have to tame throughout the race. So I'm still watching back here. It is nuts so far.
Richie C in the 9 being swallowed whole by the 96 of Keefta, but you saw Keefta getting 2 tires in the outside grass through the keyhole, now down the stretch and into the beach, as it's aptly named at Mid-Ohio, through the kink, and the beach will be this next collection of corners. One of the hardest parts of the track, as you see Richie going really fast into the corners, having to regain control, and you see the 42 of Jeep right behind him, and Richie's gone into the grass, as has Keefta in the 96, and trouble for the 96, trouble for the 9, and Keefta is down in that section, and he has not moved yet. Jacket makes it clean through. You see Davy Jones, not a scratch on his car so far. Terry, does it do good for a driver's mentality when he can look at his race car and see it is in mint condition?
Yeah, that'll probably be the winner of the race. If you could go on Mid-Ohio without touching the car, without sliding off the track, and without hitting the wall, you've had a pretty successful night. And if you don't end up in victory lane, you might as well just pat yourself on the back and say, hell of a job, you did the right thing, and you should have been the winner. It's not very often, including myself. I can't keep it on the track here. I also can't I can't not hit the wall. So good on them if they can end this race without damage. But I think your guys without damage are going to be in the top 3 tonight anyhow. So.
Terry, I would be surprised if these cars could make it the whole way without damage. Cars like the 24 of Bo, the number 12 of Racing Rocks, already having a little bit of trouble. But so far, they've come down pit road, received repairs, and they're making it through. You see the 12 getting all 4 tires on the inside of the white line of that carousel section. He needs to be careful, or race control will continue to issue warnings. Twisted Navy in the 32. He's trying to make his way through. He's right behind that 41 and a gaggle of cars just up behind him. The 41 being piloted by White Shadow, who is a substitute for Unbound Racing this evening. Wayne, as these tires wear off, how difficult is it to hit these marks under such heavy braking pressure?
Man, it is extremely hard to get those turns. You have to be going much slower, and as a driver, your mentality, you want to go as fast as possible, but you got to remember the tires are wearing out, and you have to take the corners a little slower. You get less traction coming out of the turns, so you really got to take it easy. But when you're especially battling a car, another teammate or another person from the other team, it's definitely a struggle, but we'll see how it goes. Just to make a little remark from before, I gotta disagree, man. If your car doesn't have any marks or scruffs on it, you're not racing hard enough. You bring that thing to victory lane all clean, man, you got a problem. You race that too clean, man. But it's a solid race so far, man. I'm enjoying it. We got some great racing going on, and it's gonna get even more action-packed headed into stage 2. So all of you fans out there, I hope you're enjoying, and I hope you keep on enjoying.
The 3 car of the Madman trying to get around the 38 of Big Spur. Teammates battling it out, and this could be difficult. You know, with Thursday Night Thunder, Wayne, in the opening laps, the drivers could not stay away from each other, and it cost them dearly. Will that play into race strategy tonight? And how can teams run as fast as they can without running over each other? 3 cars in.
It's really a hard task, man. It's not an easy thing to organize. When these stages start, it's definitely going to be chaotic for the first 5 laps at least. These teams, they're definitely going to have some interesting strategies to run together, yet far enough from each other that they don't collide with each other and give damage to each other. I think you're just going to try to be clean and run it next to your teammates. There's really no way unless you want to try and block. And that's not going to go well because you will get sent into a corner.
You see the 41 of White Shadow didn't hit his marks there, Terry, and that's going to be an issue for a lot of these drivers. Many of the TNT drivers have not been hitting their marks tonight, but it looks like it's starting to infect Unbound. As they come down this front stretch with a great draft, a head full of steam, and worn tires, how early do you choose to back this car off? Time means everything going into that slow beach section.
I think you want to start off early. The quicker you can get on the brake going into these really tight corners, the better you are going to be on exit. It's also important. You're looking at, Unbound is they started off with a big issue. TNT starting to have some issues too. I feel like they started getting overconfident. It seems like they came in here and they were very confident that they had what it would take to get up in front and win. They didn't win the pole. TNT did. It seemed like Unbound was pushing the car more and more to see if they could get to the front in the early laps, and it just didn't work out for them. You saw mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's costing them. They've lost so much time to the leader. They've tried to short pit. They've tried to do everything possible to get back to the front, and it just doesn't seem to be working. I mean, you can try to play strategy at the end of the stage and push it up a little further in pit with 2 to go, because it's very easy to get on pit road before the leader takes the 2 laps to go mark. And try to stay out and get it. But if you don't have a fast enough car, your strategy's not going to pay off. You're just going to hold people up, and then you're just going to end up in the grass anyhow. So, this is one of those tracks, and until the end of the race, don't try to play strategy. Try to play it, as good as you can during this green flag run, because you're not going to see many cautions here at this track.
Absolutely not. The drivers have finally spread out. You're seeing the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark with a great lead out there, and you see he dipped all 4 tires down onto the inside, and the leader has made a fatal mistake. race control, getting on the horn to the 18 and reminding him he's gone way to the inside. He completes his stop and go right at the entrance of the keyhole, and it's unbelievable. Those kinds of mistakes could cost the team something serious. The 10 goes by and gets his lap back, but that just speaks to the lead the 18 had, Terry. Such an insurmountable lead that he can afford a stop and go, and he still remains in first. But it's all about time, and little mistakes like that, Terry, could be the end of your tournament.
Well, that's the thing we talked about earlier before the race started, is if you could push the car out to a big enough lead, you can set yourself up to make these mistakes. You know, it's very important on any road course that you're on to let everybody else make the mistake for you. You don't have to have the fastest car at a road course to win the race. The leader or the second or third place guy can make that mistake, as the 18 just did. He went way down low in turn 1 and completely cut the track to get a faster lap time. But that's not going to pay dividends here. What's going to pay dividends is to keep your car on the track, keep it smart, and keep it clean until the end of the race. And the fact that he had a big enough lead was attributed to the fact that people pitted earlier. There could have been people that made mistakes on pit road, and he's driving a flawless race at this moment, but you have to keep it in your head that you have to be perfect. If you make a stupid mistake, you're going to get a stupid prize, and you're also going to cost your team a possibility of going all 3 stages in the lead and getting max points for your team at the end of the race.
I'd call that a lack of focus, Wayne. You see the 22 of Hurricane Lane has made up time. He finds himself in this top 5, currently carrying the flag for Unbound Racing. But so far, it's a giant gap to the 2 cars ahead, the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark, the 19 of Crotum. Speaking mentality-wise, how can a driver calm themselves down to just race the track, not the pack?
Man, if I'm a driver, I'm looking at stage 1. You got to take it easy. I know you're in a place that's lower than top 5. If you are, just run your race. You want to make it to stage 2, and you'll have a better chance to make it there. You want to try and keep the car clean and keep it in pristine condition. We got the 48 and the 21 battling out. But if I'm a driver, I'm trying to keep the spots that I have right now. Oh, there's a lot of racing going on with the 21 and all the others. But you just got to try and keep it wherever you are and keep it consistent during this first stage. You're going to have a lot of battles in the rest of the stage, and there's plenty of time for hard racing.
Absolutely. The hard racing lives in this pack. You see the 12 getting around that 21 car. That was Racing Rocks getting around Davy Jones. Davy losing a little bit of control. You saw he just got loose, and he dipped all 4 tires just momentarily on a little bit of a lapse of judgment there. But the 48's coming in. Davy's going to stay out for another lap. Potentially a dangerous move with how loose that race car is. Terry, the 21 seems to have control, but under braking in the slow sections, it gets all squirrely. Is that a product of tire wear or a lack of focus?
A little bit of both. It's very hard to get on the heavy braking zones and manage your brake and manage the tires. Once the rear tire starts to get wore down and you get on the brakes, you kind of get what they call a NASCAR wheel hop. You know, you start hitting the brake really hard and you're shifting, you're trying to get it down, but you don't have the grip in the rear of the car, so the car starts to bounce on you. And you're watching him here. He started bouncing just a tad bit going in the corner, but he woed it up enough to get the car around the corner. If you can manage all 3 phases of this road course, staying on track, managing your tires, and managing your fuel, you should be okay towards the end of the race. But we're watching the 12 car. He passed him, and within a lap, he has dipped. You know, he has went far away from as he could, and he's off track. 21's off track again. His car's out of control. I expect for him to pit this lap and try to stay in sync with the leader.
Keep your eyes glued on that 21 car as they're coming to complete the 17th lap of this first stage.
Stand out.
Drivers are thinking and the 21's thinking he's going to go all the way to the end, so certainly strategy is playing effect as these drivers try to rack up points in the end of stage 1. Should be right around 5 laps to go as they cross that line. The 42 of Jeep rather slow out of the beach section going up and down the hill. before making his way into that carousel. 42's gone wide, and he's got to check up way hard so he doesn't go off the track. The 24 of Bo 77 sitting behind the 38 of Big Spur, and he's just ahead of that number 3 car being piloted by the Madman. So a TNT sandwich with 2 Unbound pieces of bread racing down the stretch into the keyhole, now with 5 laps remaining in this opening stage. Wayne, you mentioned the 12 of Racing Rocks. He has just pulled away from Davy Jones in the 21, and he is killing it.
He's having a great race so far. I think the end of the race for stage 1 is going to go as follows, but the only reason that a driver is going to get past is if they get a penalty, which could definitely happen here. You've seen it happen a few times to other drivers, and if that happens, you have to take a stop and go penalty. You stop on the track, and then you go after a second or two. But 21's having a solid race so far, and the 12 is too. It's been some solid racing in the front. They're a few car lengths ahead of each other, but I think stage 2 is going to have stage 2 and stage 3, the beginnings, are going to be the most craziest because all the cars are going to be packed up, all the teammates are going to be together, and it's going to be one team versus the other. So it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see how strategy plays out and how the teams battle it out.
We have Twisted Navy in the 32. Twisted Navy 2269 driving that Schluter Systems Ford just ahead of that 41 car being driven by White Shadow for Unbound, so we could have a pass right at the end of this one. Big Spur, who had a wreck on that first lap, has come back in a grand way, Terry, but what does that mean for his fuel strategy and for his tire strategy?
I don't know how many more laps are left in the stage. I've only seen him pit once. It's going to be very important if you're 4 to go. He might be playing it all the way to the end. You know, like I said, the guys back in the back, you've already lost the lead pack. What's the point in sitting in here and just pitting and staying in the same sequence as everybody else? You're on a giant road course. I mean, you're on a road course. You might as well go ahead and just try to play something. Your team's not running where it should be. You want to get as many points as possible. You don't want to be swept in stage 1 and stage 2. So if I was these guys back here in the back, I would be staying out as much as possible, staying in 4th gear and getting it down as slow as possible and saving max fuel all throughout the race. Or pit with 2 to go and stay out at the end of stage 2 like the 38's doing. It's 3 to go, and he's coming down pit road right now.
3 to go when Crotom will cross the line this time by. You see the 14 of P-Man had to whoa up before he nailed the 22 of Hurricane Lane. We mentioned that turn 1 pit exit is going to be a trouble spot for a lot of drivers. Already TNT, the first drivers to violate the rumble strip rule. And you see the 14 of P-Man loses control right into the beach, and he's trying to go for a swim where there is no water. The 18 of Mark the Fat Shark gets around him, going through the beach, and he is sunburnt out of the section, trying to make his way into the carousel, losing all control, but finally regains it, and a scary moment for the 14, Wayne.
He needs some sunscreen and some Lightning McQueen floaties. That man was going for a swim. But it's been pretty bougie of a race so far. These cars have been getting cattywampus out of some of these turns like you just saw. And if you're a driver, you really got to be focused. This is one where you have to hit your marks, hit the turns, and keep the car consistent. There's only a few laps left right now, so if I've been staying out for most of the race, I'm just running it to the stage, get stage points, pit it there, and keep on racing. But if you pitted with only 2-3 laps to go, I'm definitely going to stay out and keep that track position for stage 2, because you definitely want to be in front of the pack for stage 2.
You want to be in front of the pack, and Unbound has a lot of work to do. You see the 4 of Richard Iceberg is stuck in pit road, as is the 88 of Young Bub, so 2 drivers already down for Unbound. 2.5 laps to go as the leaders circulate around this long 2 1/3 mile Mid-Ohio sports car course. The 19 of Crotom in the Sirius XM Camry making his way out of the beach, down the hill, and trying to go through this left-right sweeping combo into the carousel. 2 to go this time by when pit road will close, so as soon as Crotum crosses that line, it is over as far as pit stops are concerned. If you haven't pitted now, you certainly won't. We'll see how that plays out in these last 2 laps.
Yeah, just want to mention a lot
Contact
of
here
contact
between the 12 and the 6. You called it, Wayne. Contact between the 12 and the 6 out of the beach through the left double apex. More contact between the 12 and the 6. You can see Nifty Agenda losing all sorts of control. 4 tires down to the inside after being under duress from that 12. I don't know if he was trying to avoid the 12 or he was loose, but that was 4 tires off the racing surface. We'll see how race control judges that. And it sounds like race control is going to issue a stop and go penalty for the 6 of Nifty Agenda, who's gone off the racetrack with less than 3 to go. 2 to go there as Crotum crosses the line. So the 6 will have to succumb to the stop and go penalty as he makes his way down that first corner. The 9 of Richie C USA just 2 tires off the track, which is perfectly legal. And now the 21 of Davy Jones making his way behind the 6. And there you see the 6 car of Nifty Agenda pulling off the track and serving his stop and go penalty. Terry,
only lost his position.
White flag is in the air this time by. How do these drivers manage this last lap? With caution or with fury?
I would say both. Stop making stupid mistakes. We keep watching these battles go side by side, but we keep seeing stupid mistakes of getting off the track. If you know you're going to start falling off the track, back off the gas a little bit. Don't attack it as hard as you would normally. You're not racing for much at the moment. You're racing for maybe 11th or 12th, or maybe you're racing for one spot. You're not going to gain the lead. You're not going to win the race. If you continue to push the car more and more, you're going to continue to make dumb mistakes and get a stop penalty. And that puts him, away from anybody else. He has nobody else around him. He's coming to the green and white checkered. He's not going to gain but one spot maybe. There's no reason to push it and cost your whole team a whole point because you wanted to push the car harder than you should have at the moment.
There you see P-Man in the 14, the 3 of the Madman getting a little close there on the grass. White Shadow in the 41 making his way out of that carousel section under heavy pressure from the 24 of Bo 77. But scrolling back through this field, the 19 of Crotum has a stranglehold on this field. He just needs to make it carefully through the carousel section, and stage 1 is his. No one in front, no one behind. Obviously, he's going to have an easy way to the line. The 19 of Crotum, the first driver across the line to end stage 1 at Mid-Ohio. It looks like the number 22 of Hurricane Lane is going to come in second place, so it is a diverse front 2 positions at the end of stage 1. I cannot wait to see how these points turned out. Terry, what did you think of the first stage?
I thought it was very clean. I like that we don't have caution zone, that it's manual cautions throughout the whole race. It allows the guys to actually race and get separation with one another. I'm very intrigued by how the strategy's working between TNT and Unbound. Crotum walked away with the field. Once he got past the 18 machine, he just took off and set sail to an easy stage 1 victory. The 22's hot on his tail, but let's see if the strategy carries on into stage 2 and sets you up for a possible win in stage 3.
We'll see how these drivers line up as they're coming around. Crotum first, Hurricane Lane second, Mark the Fat Shark in third, Racing Rocks in fourth, Davy Jones fifth, Nifty Agenda rounding out that top 6. We're going to get going once again, and on the front row of this one, the 19 of Crotum, the 22 of Hurricane Lane. Green flag is in the air. We're racing once again at Mid-Ohio.
Boogity boogity, we're going. This is going to be one of the most chaotic starts of the race. Everybody's packed up, they're close to each other, and these first few turns are probably going to be chaotic.
Down the front stretch into the keyhole. The 19.
Oh, the 22 puts the 19 off the track. Oh, he wrecked him again.
19, all fours
19
off the track.
right ahead of the 22. All 4 tires off the track, but there was heavy contact. We'll see how race control judges that one. Crotum getting out to a good lead, headed into the beach. We'll see how they turn this one out. 19, 22, 12 with pressure from the 48.
Woo!
And you saw the 19 kept 2 tires on the rumble strip, headed into the beach, still with a steady lead.
Oh,
2
6
by
car
2,
off the
3
track.
rows deep. 6 is off the racetrack. 19, 22, 12, 48, 21, 1, 18. Top 6 out of the beach section, down the hill, and coming into that carousel. Wayne, you were not kidding. That was some intense racing. Keep your eye on these leaders.
Yeah, as the race goes on, it's going to get a little more peaceful, but the first, I'd say 3 laps are the most chaotic. Everyone's packed up. Most people are on fresh tires, and this is time to boogity it down and get that car in the top 3. That's what you're aiming for, and that's what the drivers are trying to do as they get spaced out a little more here.
Hurricane Lane in the 22 keeping off that rumble strip, but staying close to the 19 of Crotum. Terry, some heavy contact between these top 2, and they're going to need to stay off of each other if they intend on keeping it a clean green race for the rest of today's event. You saw the 96 going off the track and nearly being clipped by his teammate. How we go back to the D word. I hate to say it again, but it's a difficult track to manage. And what is it going to take to stay off of these drivers in these early laps? Surely it can't boil down to just patience.
No, it's going to take a lot of discipline. It's hard to do when you're battling for the lead. The 22's off the course. The 12 car's going to get a run under him going into turn 3. It's important to be disciplined through lap 1 to the last lap of the race. If you want to be lackadaisical in this type of racetrack, you're going to find yourself in the grass, and you're going to find yourself head first into the wall. You want to brake a little earlier when you're behind somebody. You don't want to use your braking zone.
The one in the 48 go around.
Maybe they'll hold off and they won't touch each other as much as possible. But coming down to the last couple laps, if we're to get a restart with 3 to go, I expect a lot of bumpers to be used and a lot of pissed off people at the end of this race.
So far, some drivers making heavy contact with each other. You see Big Spur getting up the rear bumper of Jacket in the number 1, headed into that first corner. Drivers having to stay off those rumble strips and leave the pit road exit alone. Spur with a run to the outside of the corner on Jacket, headed into the keyhole. He will outbrake Jacket with divine skill. And now the 32 of Twisted Navy is the next car on Big Spur's radar. It's been a good start for Big Spur so far, and the 38 has been making good strides on his way towards the front. A better start than stage 1, but still a huge mountain to climb. And there's heavy contact from the 1.
Wow.
The 14 of P-Man gets into the 1, headed into the beach. The 1 of Jacket gets into the 3, going right on that downhill section of the beach. That's the Madman in the 3 who holds position. But Terry, we called it going into that beach section. The drivers need to back this corner up just a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we're watching a lot of people sail it in there. That's not, that corner doesn't give you very much room to give it. It's the 48 is all over the back bumper of P-Man. He's holding him up going in that corner. Looks like one of them have a different braking point than the other one. You know, it looks like the 48 brakes a little later in the corner and the 14 brakes a little earlier. Honestly, I think that's going to pay dividends for the 14 because he's not going to wear his tires as much as that 48 is, or the front bumper, but his back bumper is going to get the tar beat out of it if he don't move out of his way.
Only 3 laps now complete. Still 16 laps left in the second stage. The 38 of Big Spur, kangaroo hopping that Mustang into the keyhole. He used all of the racetrack he could coming out of that first corner, but he's regained control. Commissioner Slidejob has our stage 1 points. Commissioner, if you could.
Yes, sir. So it's definitely been a very competitive race, as we could have imagined with the rankings being so close. That first stage went to TNT, 38-17, but still anybody's race.
(38-17) for Thursday Night Thunder. You can see heavy contact from between the 3 and the 1 car, and the 3 of Madman barreling down this racetrack, and he's gone all 4 tires off the racetrack one more time, slowing it way down in front of the 48. Cars getting stacked up. 3 has been sending it in. Race Control has already warned the 3 about his driving, and he's sitting. He gets right in front of the 48, slows right up in front of Tristan on the racetrack. 48 has to check up in a huge way. Now the 38 and the 41 for Unbound. Big spur, and the 41 piloted by White Shadow gain advantage from that maneuver. Gamesmanship going on in the Unbound camp, and you can see the 3 very slow through that first corner, losing all sorts of control, and he still maintains his position.
Yeah, it's starting to become clear that tempers are starting to get a little bit heated here. Some of these drivers aren't really wanting to give when it comes to getting into the corner. The biggest key to road course racing there is to back your corners up to get a really good shot and a launch off of the exit. I'm not seeing a lot of guys doing that except for the top 2 or 3. The guys back here in the back racing in a pack, they are literally shoving in the corners. The 3 goes off the track, and he went all 4 off. So I would expect Race Control to tell him that he's going to have to stop or slow down or stop charging the corners. And there he is. He's taking his... Oh, he went off the corner again, comes right up in front of the 6.
He gets off the... Sorry, Terry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And
oh,
the
man,
6
you're
is
good. He
gone
put the
off.
6
The
in the
3 gets in
wall.
front of Nifty Agenda in the 6. Now the 3's lost control, and he's gone off the racetrack after going off the racetrack himself. The 3 car re-enters the racetrack right in front of the 1, right in front of the 42 of Jeep, and now he stays off the racetrack for the 41, and that's another Unbound driver. The 41 of White Shadow gets off scot-free, but the 3 re-enters in front of a couple other drivers, and 4 more tires off the racetrack for the 3 car of the Madman, and the 10 car with all 4 tires in the carousel section. The 3 is now in pit road.
Yeah, he looks like he needs to make a big adjustment to that car. He's got heavy damage to the front end and the rear end from where he's just pulling in front of people. And we go back to what I said at the beginning of the broadcast and in the middle. Don't be stupid. You have 19 other people out there on the track, and if you know you're running off the course, you don't need to slam it back on the track. Give the room, let them go, and if you know that you're faster, go past them. But don't make a dumb mistake of just slinging it back on the track and breaking all momentum and costing yourself a position or a penalty at the end of the race. You know, this whole race can come down to points at the end, but it can also come down to penalty points. And if you're costing your team 10 or 15 or 20 points at a time, you're not going to win the race. And you could go to the round of the super speedways with a chance to knock anybody off. You could knock off the top-ranked eSpark or whoever. You could knock off the best of the best in this game just by making it to the Talladegas and the Daytonas.
It's certainly a unique track for all of these drivers. The 96 of Kiefta coming out of pit road with 4 tires and fuel. He'll be looking to make his way back up this racetrack for Team Unbound. You see the 6 of Nifty of Jenda coming down, the 48 of Tristan, the 42 of Jeep staying out. Those 2 drivers for TNT, while the 6 for TNT coming in. So mixed strategy all the way around this racetrack. And you can see Crotum in the 19 coming out, being overtaken by his TNT teammate, Jeep, in the 42. So fresh tires for Crotum, our stage 1 winner, but management will be crucial. Terry, the drivers have now spread out. They've got laps underneath them, and the first green flag pit stops are cycling around. Does anybody dare short pit with 2 tires?
No, not here. You're not going to take 2 tires on this road course and last for very long. This road course likes to eat tires, whether it's the right or the lefts. You're putting a lot of load on both sides, turning left and right here, and the high bank corners coming both left and right are going to affect both ends of the car. You want to take 4 any chance you can get them on there to get grip, to get speed, and to keep yourself with the pack. If you take 2, a guy like Crotum or Hurricane Lane, they're going to swallow you up the moment they get behind you, and you're not going to be able to overtake them.
The 18 of Mark the Fat Shark overtaking Davy Jones in the 21. Not the most strategic move from TNT, and every little bit counts. Wayne, where are the greatest passing sections, not only for rivals, but for teammates?
Well, I'd personally say where the 18 is right now, because there's a lot of open course. Heading into this turn, you could definitely overtake some drivers if they go a little too wide. and heading into the front stretch, as I'd call it. You have a lot of speed here, not a lot of room to pass people, but braking zone wise, you could definitely beat some people coming out of that turn. It's definitely hard to choose and pick where you want to pass teammates or people on the other team, so I'd definitely be cautious when I'm doing it. Saw a lot of contact before as people are trying to pass each other, a lot of stuff going on with the 3 and the 48 and the 6, but they all finally got past that. That was a very chaotic part of the race a few laps ago. But like I said before, now that 3 laps have passed, we're about, 8 laps in. It's been a pretty quiet race now. Everybody's spread out, everybody's using pit strategy, and now I believe it's just time to cruise, have your strategy, and just run your race.
The calculators are being crunched, the race strategists doing their math. The 32 of Twisted Navy was just recently the leader. The 9 of Richie's gone off, and he regains control, but the 24 of Bo, all TNT drivers racing nose to tail out of the beach section, having a hard time getting it together, and it's going to be trouble for TNT. They don't hold the biggest lead in the world, and a couple of mistakes could be crucial, and it could be beneficial for Unbound. The 38 of Big Spur right now behind the 14, just ahead of the 6 of Nifty Agenda, that 14 being piloted by P-Man for Unbound Racing as well. Now we see the 14 of P-Man just ahead of his teammate in the 38 car, circulating one more time around this racetrack. Big Spur sitting in 10th, Nifty in 11th right behind him. Right now P-Man chasing down the Richie C USA in the 9, Bo 77 in the 24, but there's only 11 laps remaining in this stage. So the drivers will have to pit one more time, Wayne, but do you short pit or do you stretch your resources as long as possible?
Personally, if I'm a driver, I'm going to do the long term, and I'm going to go as far as the car will go, and then I'm going to pit, get a splash, and take it all the way to the end. But other drivers may do the other strategy and short pit here, get tires if they want, or just take a splash of fuel and go for it. I believe we're going to see a lot of splashes for fuel if we only have about 3 laps to go. But any more than that, I'd be taking at least 2. 4 is definitely what you want to do. This track is a tire killer. So 4 tires and a splash of fuel is what I'm going to see. And if I was a driver, I'd personally do the long term.
You saw the 41 of Shadow getting loose, allowing the 42 of Jeep to get up behind him, but the 41 chasing down that 48 Ally Camaro, Tristan just up ahead, who kicked up clouds of brown smoke coming out of the last couple of corners, so you can see the tires are worn on the 48, and he is losing lap times at a rapid pace. G Nasty in the 10 all by his lonesome, and plenty of and the 10's gone around. The 10 is now in the grass after losing control coming out of the beach. He's hit the barrier and he's spun the car. The number 10 Smithfield Mustang trying to back up and regain control, and now as he was all by himself, he looks to have still no one near him, so he had quite a big buffer area, but still not good for mentality, not good for car control. It certainly has to get into your head when you've lost control of that race car, Terry.
Yeah, I'm watching the 41 car right now. He went off track, lost 2 positions, about to lose another one to the 96. It's this track starts to get really, really hairy when you start losing the rear end of the car. You don't like it. You can't say it more than to not hit the gas as hard as you can coming off the corner until you get straight, because you're going to continue to lose the car. You're not going to be able to keep it straight, and if you're not going to save it here either. This is one of those courses that it's very narrow. The moment you screw up and make a mistake, you're going to the grass or to the sand pit. You're not going to be able to make a mistake and just spin out in the middle of the track. Somebody's going to have to play some strategy here. The 19 has pulled away from everybody. They're going to have to take a splash, try something different. There's no way that I can see them going up there and battling for this stage without some type of strategy.
Let's go back to the leader, the number 19 of Crotum. When he crosses the line, the yellow flag will come out for the first time in this race. 9 laps to go in the stage. It'll be 8 when he collects the caution. So a caution has come out. Damage has occurred to these cars that will not allow them to continue safely. What that means, according to the rules, is that when the driver sustains damage to their engine, they must record that damage sustained and present it to race control at the end of the race to validate the caution, lest they suffer a penalty. So what that means is that is now 8 laps to go. The 19 of Croydon crosses the line in first, and he's going to bundle this field for one final restart. Terry, the stakes just got a lot higher at Mid-Ohio.
Expect for some bumpers and some pushing and shoving here to end this stage. There's going to be a lot of tempers flaring back there in the back. People that feel like they deserve to be up front, but they're making stupid mistakes. You know, maybe they can make a change or stay out or take 2 tires like Wayne said. If they can try to make some strategy up, there's no way you're beating the 19 and the 22 on speed. You're going to have to do something different and maybe try to get a chance to stay up front.
The 6 of Nifty Agenda making his way around this racetrack now, just behind the 10, ahead of that 48. Wayne, put yourself in the driver's seat. What call do you make knowing we're going to restart with less than 7 laps remaining?
It's really hard, especially if you're the leader. It's the hardest thing to do, to choose the pit or to stay in. If you're pitting, you're definitely going to give up a lot of stage points, because I feel like a bunch of the drivers in the back are going to stay out. If I'm a driver in the back, I'm staying out and I'm going for broke unless the front pits. Then I'm taking 4 tires, fuel, and going for broke once again. All depends on your position and what you want to do as a driver, but it's definitely going to be some hard racing here with our first caution. It's very hard to do with pack racing, and like I said, it takes 3 laps to get away from each other. So with worn tires and new tires mixed up in the field, it's going to be a chaotic restart.
Chaos indeed, but for a moment, let's say hello to the fans. We thank each and every one of you for getting into our stream tonight. Asbill, Pete, Haskell, we've got Magic Mike, Matty Ice in the chat tonight. Experts coming in. A big shout out to Panda Girl, Worm Rider as well. Thank you all so much for joining us. Grab your phones, get on your social media, and send a blast. Let your friends, your family, and the rest of your team know Stage 2 is almost at an end, and if you want to see some exciting racing, the last 6 laps of this stage are going to be off the hook. The 21 of Davy Jones in Pit Road. A couple of guys staying out. You called it, Terry.
The 10, the 48, the 42.
I told you guys, we're going to have half and half, man. New tires in the back, old tires in the front. This is going to make it very chaotic if they can't block.
Now, any of these drivers that are 1 lap down do not get the opportunity to pit with the lead lap cars, so they will take their pit stop on the subsequent lap. We'll see who is able to come around here, and there you see the 57 car pacing the field so far. That 57 being charitably driven. As we scroll around, let's see if we can get a hold of TBR Pride in that 57 pacing the field so far. You see the 14 and the 48 occupying the first 2 spaces back there. The 14 being driven for Unbound Racing. The pilot is P-Man 445, and the 48 for TNT being piloted by Tristran. Cars are making their way around this field. They should be lining up 2 by 2 unless these leaders plan to come down pit road. You get another chance to think your strategy here, but one of my favorite A words in all of racing, aggression, is going to be the word of this particular restart. How do these drivers manage their aggression but still stay on it to make the necessary passes?
Tough question. Needing the aggression and who's not. I mean, if I'm one of those guys that are on fresh tires right now, and I'm looking at a guy in front of me that has stayed out, you know, it looks like that the 14 is going to hold the lead right here. If I'm that 19 and I know that I'm faster than him going into turn 1, you're sailing it. you're trying to get a run off of him. You're trying to get the grip on the high side or the low side, whatever lane he takes. You're not holding anything. But it looks like the 14 and the 48 all came down. So if I'm the 12 or the 18, somebody's going in the corner.
The 42 as well, Terry. The 42 of Jeep came in with the 14 of P-Man and the 48 of Tristan. So 2 Thunder cars, 1 Unbound car coming down from that lead pack. And at the front, new leader, car 19, being driven by Crotum in that Sirius XM Camry. And it looks like he's going to have a couple Unbound drivers to his side and right behind him. Those Penske cars being driven by Hurricane Lane and Racing Rocks, respectively. So we're going to get going here. It looks like next time by, it should leave us with right around 5 laps to go. I am so thrilled to see this race get going once again, but I am so terrified of what these next laps are going to hold. Folks at home, you've got a couple more seconds to grab another drink and take your warm spot on the couch, but don't bother using it. You're going to be on the edge of your seat for this restart.
I'm curious,
Wait.
Jay Haskell in the chat.
Terry.
Who do you need those fantasy points from? Maybe we can get an eye on them and see if they're aggressive or not.
Wayne, we're looking at the 19 of Crotum, the 22 of Hurricane Lane right to his outside. The 19 of Crotum is going to have to be very careful not to dip 4 tires on the inside of that corner. The 18 of Mark the Fat Shark, who's going to be restarting in 4th place, already succumbed to that. How is he going to avoid this?
Man, it's going to be very tricky going through this restart. I personally wasn't watching how many people stayed out, so worn tires and new tires, I think the people in the front are going to be the most aggressive because they're going to have to block very aggressively while racing their race, trying to hit their lines and run in the race. If I'm up there and I have worn tires, I may run it a little slower, but I'm going to use that back bumper to my advantage until I get pushed out of the way. And if it runs all the way to the end of the stage, it's going to work out. If it doesn't, oh well, I tried my best. So it's going to be hard. We'll see how it's going to go. And we're almost ready to go green. I believe one more lap around.
One more time around, so this is going to complete lap 14 of 19 in this second stage. You see there is the 10 car getting his free pass. That's G Nasty 3006. Possibly a couple others coming around, so it'll be 4 to go at the restart. Certainly race control is going to be on top of these drivers, managing all sorts of aggression, and we could have a lengthy end to stage 2, but these drivers are getting on top of that wheel and getting ready to go racing one more time. Terry, if you're at the back of this pack, you've got a lot of spots to make up in a short amount of time. Where and when do you pick your moments to pass?
Hell, anywhere you can make a chance. You got a bumper for a reason. They don't call it NASCAR for any other reason. You know, you use that strap that old Intimidator glass down and strap that helmet on. Let's see what you got. If you got a chance to put the bumper to somebody, I know the race officials are probably watching and they're going, oh, hell, don't listen to the commentator. Nah, I'm using that bumper. I'm gonna get every point I can get. If I'm sitting back there 11th or 12th, I'm going into the top 10 some way, somehow. And if I'm at 22 on this restart, I'm sailing it into 1. I'm going to hang down there on that fender of that 19. I'm going to try to slow him up and get the run going into the right-hander. Any chance you can, you're going to try to use some aggression. And hopefully that 18 or that 12 don't send them into turn 1.
We'll see how these drivers tend to use that bumper. Wayne, race control is going to be very strict on this restart, making sure the drivers stay off each other and use proper etiquette in these first couple of corners. Now they're rolling through one more time. Do you tend to use the bumper yourself, Wayne, or do you play it cautious, hoping the other guy makes a mistake? How would you bait that driver into making that mistake?
Man, personally, when I'm driving, I try to keep it as clean as possible. I don't want any issues after the race. Every once in a while, you got to use that front bumper. The only way I'm using it if that car in front of me is slow or I think I got a chance at it. So we'll see what these drivers' mindsets are here. You know, if you have the faster machine, you got to send it and use that front bumper a little bit. If not, and you don't, we're green and we are racing once again. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, as Bill says in the chat, use the old Terry saying, I got tight. Hell yeah. Use that saying. Get down there, dig it in the corner, get a little tight, move them up the track. Anything you can to get points, go do it now. This is your chance. The 22 pushes the bumper to the 19, coming into 2. Here we go.
Rattling some
He's
cages,
doing it.
man. Here we go.
The 19 of Crotum
18.
still holding that lead. The 22 of Hurricane Lane to his inside. You saw the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark send it deep into the keyhole, and he made heavy contact with the 12. We'll see how that gets called. 19 breaking early, puts in the crossover. What a move from the 19 through the beach section. 22, one more time, passes him out of the beach, down the hill, through the double apex right-hander, up the hill one more time under the Honda bridge, and now the 19 of Crotum chasing the 22 of Hurricane Lane. It'll be 3 to go this time by. Through that right-hander, up the hill, down the straight, and headed into the carousel. Wayne, new leader, car 22.
Man, this racing is incredible. I told you guys it's coming down to these final laps when you group everyone up. Contact with the 22 and the 19. 19 giving the front bumper and trying to get past the 22. They've been making so much contact coming here on the front stretch. I don't know how many laps we have left, but this 19 is going to be using up that front bumper as we come around these last corners. It is an amazing race so far.
Oh, 22 went off the track.
Oh,
Let's see if he sails it back into the corner.
Coming out of the first corner. 3 laps to go as they cross the line, and it looks like the 6 of Nifty Agenda. No, that's the 12. That's the 12 car who sends it right down the straight, all 4 tires, and right into the beach through the keyhole. The 12 of Racing Rocks losing all control. You see the 19 of Crotum protecting the inside down the straight, headed into 4, 5, and 6. The 18 of Mark the Fat Shark trying to get behind the 22 of Hurricane Lane, and he just won't have enough. Crotum starting to pull away. Terry, the 19 is opening up a lead. It'll be 2 laps to go this time by.
Man, that was incredible racing on the restart. That 22, if you're going to use the bumper, man, word of advice, get away from the guy. Don't let him use the bumper to you, too. Get away from it. Pull away as quickly as you can. But he ran completely off the track in the grass, got loose, let the 19 go, but he's trailing it back down. Let's see how aggressive it's going to get with a lap to go. He's gonna be pressing that rear end to see if he could get a possible chance to get him out of the. Here he comes into the final corner.
22 coming behind the 19 now with 2 laps left in this second stage. 22 has to whoa up. He puts 2 tires to the inside of the rumble strip on that first corner. I don't know how the rules will see that, but he's getting a run and a draft into the keyhole. He's going to wait and bide his time. Headed into this third corner, he's right behind the 19 of Crotum. 1.5 laps to go as they exit the corner. Great exit for Hurricane Lane. Wayne, he's going to try and pass him headed into the beach.
I think he has a great chance. He's ready to use that front bumper, try to get past him on
blocking.
Some of these. Here we go.
Oh, he
the
shoved him in
front
the corner.
bumper's used. Doesn't quite affect him. Oh, trying to get neck and neck. The 22 is trying to squeeze past, but that 19 is making that car 2 lanes wide, and he is showing the 22. He is going to try his best to stay up there. 22 is going to have to work really hard with these last few corners coming up.
The 19 is forcing the 22 into the mistake, which is completely opposite of what it should be here at this race. The 22 should be forcing the 19 into it, but the 19 is playing the game and backing the corners up and making the 22 use his stuff up and use his tires up as much as possible. The 19 shoots it wide going into the one of the last corners of the track, but he still gets a heck of a run off the corner, and the 22 is kind of gaining on it, but he's not really there to use the bumper on the last lap of the stage.
Coming out of that line, the 22 gets all 4 tires under that white line, headed into the first corner, and now that could be a problem for the 22, headed into stage 3. Crotum leading Hurricane Lane through the keyhole, and the 22 is a little bit loose. Terry, you mentioned how he used all of his resources. He's got one more shot to make this happen. Headed into the beach section, Crotum leading Hurricane Lane, and there in the very back you see the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark. Hurricane Lane tries to send it deep, clipping the rumble strip in that third corner, and the space is starting to become apparent between the two. Terry, is there anything left for Hurricane Lane?
Oh, absolutely. You have so many braking points. You can get down in there and try to outbrake them as much as possible. They're coming up on one now. The 19 goes a little wide. The 22 gets a heck of a run down there on the bottom. He has a chance going in the final couple laps and the final couple corners to get a chance to outbrake him and use it. But he's trying to use too much of the track at once. He's coming off the course with all 4 tires, and it's not making much of a difference here.
Coming out of this final corner, you see from Hurricane Lane, the 19 of Crotum wins stage number 2 here at Mid-Ohio. 2 stages, 2 wins for TNT, and 2 wins for Crotum in that number 19 Sirius XM Camry. And so far, it's looking good for Thursday Night Thunder, but a stage win does not mean, well, a stage win for a driver does not mean a stage win for the team. So we'll have to wait patiently for the points. And headed into stage 3, Terry, I cannot wait to see how these drivers manage the tight space.
Yeah, it's going to be really important. Like I said, it's going to come down to who does better in the teams. You can go up here and dominate these stages like the 19 has, but it's important for your whole team to gain points at the end. Throw out the stages, throw out the 10 points. It's all about who can manage their car in the right spot. You want to take advantage of every single mistake that is made by the other team, and you want to get yourself in a better position. If you have a team finishing 1, 4, 5, and 6, and the other team takes up the rest of the spots and can manage the smaller points, that's going to determine who's going to win this race and who's going to go on to the next round here.
Coming out of that final corner to begin this third stage, you see now in second place is the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark, who took the position from the 22, who must have pitted. The 19 with all 4 tires under the white line there, and that could be a big issue for Croton. We'll see how race control judges that. Mark the Fat Shark going slow into the keyhole, trying to get to the inside of the 22 of Hurricane Lane. 18, 22, 19 through the keyhole, and the 22 comes out ahead. What a move on the outside. New leader, car 22. Terry headed into the beach.
Yeah, heading into the beach, you got the 18 trailing the 22 right here. It's going to be important for the 18 to get a good break, to not wheel hop the car, and to get a good exit off of it. The 22 looks like he's kind of loose right there anyhow. As we saw at the end of stage 2, he wasn't able to get the car completely on the bottom of the track, but it's going to be important for the 18 and the 19 behind him to see who can get through these corners and manage their cars. The 22's been using a lot more of the grass than I expect for him to use at this road course, and I'm very concerned he's having to serve a penalty right there. He cut the track. He's been cutting it lap after lap, and I've been curious to see when race control was going to step up and say something about it, because he was completely cutting the track altogether.
And there it was. You saw the 19 had to complete his stop and go, as did the 22 of Hurricane Lane. Those two front to back once again. New leader at the front for Thursday Night Thunder. Mark the Fat Shark in first place, but now in second, hot on his heels, with the 19 getting shoved. 22 putting 2 tires on the rumble strip, 2 under the white line, and this 3-car battle already super intense. Out of this first corner, 48 laps complete now. On lap 49, the 22 of Hurricane Lane loses control, gets into the keyhole sand, and Crotum now working on that number 12 car for Unbound, the 12 being piloted by Racing Rocks. But Hurricane Lane has not given up the fight, now challenging on the outside of Crotum, headed into this third corner, the section known as the beach. Crotum goes wide, contact between the 22 and the 19. 19 just barely stays above the racing surface, almost going under that white line. Heavy contact again. 19 and 22 really scrapping out of the hill section. The 3 of Madman behind the 19. There you see Kiefta in the 96 being pushed by the 38 of Big Spur down the hill around the double apex. The 32 of Twisted Navy off the track, re-entering almost in front of his teammate Crotum. Heavy calamity at Mid-Ohio. And Terry, I've got to catch my breath. What a race that was through that beach section.
Yeah, man, if I'm race control right now, I'm telling that 19 and 22 to knock it off and to stop racing like idiots. You have so many more laps to go, and you're going to end up costing your team more than you've already cost them. You're already giving up the top 2 positions by making a small mistake into something bigger, and now they're going to continue to beat on each other for no reason in this race, and you can end up taking each other out, and you're going to cost your team positions that you know you can go take. But as we enter down here into turn 2, you got the 22 braking heavy. He slides up the track. 19 gets under him, gets a good run off the exit, send the 19 in front of the 22. He's going to try to chase down the 21. Wayne, we're going down to the front straightaway.
Man, it is some crazy racing with the 19 and the 22. Once you get that aggression in your head, you just keep going at it. 22 trying to give the 19 a bumper. He gets it. Oh, a little bit of contact there. But that's one thing you have to do as a driver. You got to try and keep calm. And even when you get in the worst situations like with the 19 and 22, calm down. You want to bring in the points for your team like you guys have been saying all night. And it's really a team sport here tonight. You're not just racing as an individual trying to get the win. You're trying to bring in points for your team so you can advance to the next round. And that's what I'd be doing as a driver right now if I'm not in the top 3 or top 5.
Yeah, here we go back through the whole cake.
Go ahead, Terry. You saw the 22 just barely dip all 4, but he get no advantage.
Yeah, we're coming down to the front straightaway here, coming to the thing. The 22 gets under the 21. He's getting a good run down there. He's trying to chase that 19 back down. I believe this is going to be the battle for the win between the 22 and the 19 here. So whoever can gain the advantage, getting through the field the quickest, and who can get around who, and quit playing mind games with one another. You're the 2 fastest cars on the track. I don't know why you're sitting here racing each other like it's the last lap. You got 40 laps to go. Race each other like it's 40 laps to go. You're getting unnecessary damage, and you're just letting your temper get the best of you. The 22's wrecking. He's wrecking behind the 19. The 22 and 21 spot on the back straightaway.
On the backstretch, you saw the 22 of Hurricane Lane and the 21 of Davy Jones get together. The 24 of that looks like Bo in the 24, who just lost control 3 wide down that straight, and it's nothing but chaos down that backstretch headed into the beach. The 24 of Bo getting loose and the 22 of Hurricane Lane entering just at the same time, and that was some heavy contact between drivers. The 22 of Hurricane Lane trying to regain control of that race car through the hill section and under the Honda bridge. So it's been an eventful few laps for a few certain drivers. Meanwhile, at the front of this one, the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark continues to lead that race back towards the field, Terry. These drivers have gotten some control of their cars, and they can finally get going once again.
Yeah, it's incredible racing between those 2 cars. I believe the 22's race is going to be over unless he gets a caution. I don't believe he has enough time or car at this moment with the damage he has to get back to the front. These 4 cars in front of the 9 and over here with the 14, the cars are looking a little bit more stable. Looks like they've actually learned the track. It's impressive to see how they're able to from lap 1 until now, they're able to understand, okay, this is where I can hit the gas at better. This is where I can shift. They're learning better braking points. They're understanding what's going on. So it's very impressive for both teams in a very close contested race on who's going to make the least mistakes and who's going to be the most aggressive in this race to come out and go to the super speedway round.
You see the 22 in pit road. You talk about a close contest, Terry. We've got points from that second stage. Commissioner Slide Job, please.
Yes, sir. So TNT actually gained a little bit more in that stage. They took 43 points this time to Unbound's 12, bringing the gap, I believe it's 81 to 29. But still anyone's race. Stage 3 matters the most.
81 to 29 to finish up the second stage, and the ball sits in TNT's court. But it could, as Slide Job mentioned, it could be all for naught. 33 laps to go as Mark the Fat Shark crosses the line, still leading the race in the number 18 Interstate Batteries Camry, but competition hot on his heels. You see Crotum in the 19 racing behind the number 12 of Racing Rocks in that yellow and red Advanced Auto Parts Mustang for Unbound. The 19 taking his time, setting up the 12, puts 2 tires in the outside grass, gets way loose into that 90-degree right-hander in the beach, up and down the undulating hills, and the 12's lost control, and there goes Racing Rocks, losing it out of the downhill section, and now through the Honda bridge. Crotum takes second place through the double apex and down the straight into the carousel. Wayne, these drivers have got to come down for tires.
Yeah, man, everyone has been having a hard race and really wearing out the tires. It's now time to head down pit road, so it's just a matter of who's heading down the pit road when, and if you're going to take 4, but I think you're pretty stupid if you don't take 4. You got plenty of the race left. You need 4 tires, fuel, maybe a little adjustment, get back on the track and battle it out. It's your race to win, but you just got to play it smart, and I think whoever's in the top 10 right now has a really good chance. You just got to have a good strategy.
There now with Hurricane Lane in the 22 after you saw the 19 of Crotum and the 12 of Racing Rocks, who come down pit road for tires and fuel. The 22 cutting that right-hander close yet again, certainly. Race Control keeping an eye on him, but he continues to move around this racetrack at quite the quick pace. Meanwhile, Mark the Fat Shark continues to lead in the number 18 Interstate Batteries Camry. You see Nifty Agenda's in, Richie's in, there goes Jacket in the 1, there goes Twisted in the 32. All of those drivers racing for TNT. So strategy once again coming into effect on pit road. Terry, is that a team thing or is it just luck that all of these teammates are pitting together?
Oh, it's definitely a team thing. TNT has an insurmountable lead at this moment, 81-29. They're going to want to stick together here. They're not going to want to pull away. They're not going to want to wreck each other and get penalties like they have been doing. The guys in the back are going to create the biggest thing. The biggest thing for Unbound right now, if I was them, I would come up with a team strategy as well. You know, this Hurricane Lane has been the show for your team. Now it's y'all's chance to get on the same level that he's at. I don't know who put more practice in than who, but it looks like Hurricane Lane has figured it out. Except for the minor mistakes, you know, I would hope that Unbound would be able to take a strategy and hold on to it and try to pit a little bit earlier or a little bit later than TNT and try to stretch that fuel one lap later than everybody else tonight.
Racing Rocks in the 12 car, taking that final right-left combo and across the line to complete lap 54. So now 55 laps underway, 31 laps remaining in this event. There's Racing Rocks getting out just behind the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark, who was the leader when pit stops began to cycle. So keep your eye on that green Camry and see how he scythes through this field. That black and purple Ally Camaro just ahead is a teammate to the 18. Tristan pilots that Hendrick entry. Twisted Navy making his way around the keyhole and nothing but TNT drivers to the front and to the back. So they'll need to employ strategy to get time and make their way up ahead. Terry, how is that possible to move faster when it's only your teammates above and below you?
You just want to be consistent. Don't really worry about speed at this moment. The leader has a sizable lead on him as well. You don't want to make a mistake and sail it in the corner. You don't want to take your teammate out of contention either. It's very important for this 12 car right here to not overshoot it and take Mark out. He's led the race. He's been up front. If you just play it safe and just stay with him, following his tire tracks, you got a chance of finishing in the top 3 tonight. It looks like the 38 has a major problem going into pit road here. It looks like he's out of gas.
You called it, Terry. Wayne, I was just going to let you know that 38 has run out of gas. You see the 48 of Tristan is coming in, way off course, but that's a big blow to morale for Team 38.
That is not what you want to do. I know they want to try and make it as far as you can and make the distance, but sometimes when you're going the distance, you're not going the speed, as one song I know would say. And that is what happened there for him. If I'm a driver and I have if I'm at 2 laps of fuel, I might even pit then because I really don't want to risk it. You want to bring in the team points like we've been saying all night. It's not just an individual race. It is a team race. You have to work together with all your drivers to try to get in that top 10 or try to get some of your team in there. And drivers trying to do it tonight. 14 is all over the place right now.
P-Man's lost it, headed into the beach, and it's almost like he forgot his flip-flops before stepping on that hot sand. He's got pressure from the gear wrench Camaro of Jacket right up him, almost gets the nose under the quarter panel, the jacket will have to try again as P-Man leads that string of cars up and down the hill into the double apex and down the chute into the carousel section. Now with the Madman in the 3 car, who had some trouble in the beginning of this race, Terry, but it seems like he's gotten it together, and his car looks to be in pristine condition.
Yeah, it takes time to get to know this track and racing around people you've never raced before. I think it's big for the viewers to understand that these guys have not been on the track at this road course together at all, So we're throwing them out here in this tournament-style race, and we're saying, hey, you got to win, and you move on to the next round. But if you lose, you're going home. Sorry, but watch the tournament from your couch. And, some of these guys don't understand other people's breaking points. They don't understand, when they turn, when they don't turn, what the car is going to do. And it causes a lot of chaos on here. But as the race has progressed, these teams have understood, okay, the 3 car is going to break at this point, and it's been very good to see that the 3 car has been able to rebound from his earlier mistakes. Something we can't say for many other drivers in the race tonight. They made a mistake, and they just continuously make the same mistake. So good on Madman. I hope he gets a good finish out of the rest of the night.
Speaking of mistakes, Terry, you saw the 22 of Hurricane Lane just put 2 tires into the grass coming through the keyhole. The 41 of White Shadow had to check up to allow in the position, and the 22 puts all 4 tires in the grass, headed into the beach section once again. And we'll see what race control has to say about that, because that was close, but you could still see some daylight between the left sides and that white line. 41 of White Shadow following closely behind as the 22 losing all sorts of control. Wayne, what does the 22 have to do to get his car underneath him?
Man, the 22 has been riding a little cattywampus throughout the race. If I'm him, I know he's very fast, but I'd take it down a little notch and try to keep the car consistent. Sometimes you got to give up a little speed for consistency, and I think consistency is what is going to pay off here coming into the final laps, because all the cars are spread out right now. You don't want to lose position. You don't want to go off the track, get all 4 tires off, and have to stop, which will definitely lose you a few. So if I'm him, I'd lose a little more speed in order to keep it stable. I doubt he's going to do that, so I'll just try and keep my head in the game and run all of my turns.
Terry, the 96 of Kiefta was consistent for quite a while before he just got off there, but consistency certainly is key. One driver that hasn't been as consistent is the 48 of Tristram for Thursday Night Thunder, putting in good laps, but a bit erratic at times, and as he gets closer to the 96, he's going to have to be calm and smooth if he wants this position.
Yeah, it's very important here, because him coming down into turn 2 here, you get closer to these cars, and your aggression starts to pick up because you think since you caught him, you should just be able to go right by him, and that's not the case. You got to work them over. And you work them over a couple corners. You might work them over for a whole lap or 2, like we saw the 22 and 19. They worked each other over for lap after lap to try to figure it out. When were they going to make the mistake? And this 48 car, to me, it just seems like he wants to overdrive it when he gets in a pack. He doesn't kind of realize that there's people to the left and right of him, and when to get back on the gas, pushing him off the track and into the wall. I mean, he has heavy damage to that front end, and that just says that he's just plowing into the back of people. Oh, the 96 is around in front of the 48. 48's off the track again, trying to miss him.
And the 22 of Hurricane Lane benefits from that, so one Unbound driver and one TNT driver going off. Wayne, there's a big gulf in class between the drivers that haven't made mistakes and the drivers that have, and by my count, Thursday Night Thunder has been off the track far more than Unbound tonight.
Man, it definitely will not help you toward the overall points, man. You got to keep all 4 tires on the track. You don't want to get penalties. Stop for 1 or 2 seconds, which will lose you about 10 seconds or more. It's definitely something that'll take away your points. So, like I said before, if I'm a driver, I'll take away some speed in order to keep it consistent. And as we go, the tires are going to wear down. And the only reason I'm going to try and be fast is if there's cars near me. If I'm 2 seconds or more out from another car in front of me, I'm just going to keep the race clean, keep my car on the pavement, and try to get points for the team. The 10 car goes off the track as we're talking about that, and that's just an example for what happens.
Terry, drivers are coming down pit road. The 21 of Davy Jones behind the 6 of Nifty Agenda. The 42 of Jeep is going to forego, but the 41 now going to be one of the Unbound drivers coming in. So White Shadow, who is a substitute for Unbound, will surrender his position for 4 tires and fuel. Bo in the 24, Twisted Navy in the 32. 2 more Thursday Night Thunder drivers that have had trouble, but now they have a chance to work together and gain speed. However, you see that black and blue number 19 Camry of Crotum sneaking up behind them. He currently sees himself not as the leader, but one of the fastest cars on track. My question to you, Terry, do you go slow and let your teammates continue to move, or do you burn up tires and fuel trying to make up that crucial time?
I'm taking it slow for the teammates. If I was looking in front of me and I saw Unbound in front, I'm going to burn my stuff up to get to them as quickly as possible and pass them. You know, if you're Crotum, you're one of the fastest guys on the track. He just came off pit road. You know, he has 4 fresh tires. But if I have teammates around me, and in a tournament style like this, I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to make sure we get max points, and you'll eventually catch them. If we were racing in just a league race, just any old regular league race, it's full sends ahead. Your teammates are just the same competitors as anybody else. But the 19's playing it smart. He's keeping it on course. He's letting his teammates learn. I hope he's talking to them and telling them what they can do different. But you're not pushing the car to tear it up any more than you have to, because everybody else is going to pit later than you.
Wayne, certainly pit strategy is going to rear its ugly head once more. 25 laps to go as these drivers cross the line, and that sets you up for about 2 more pit stops. How do you play it?
Man, it's hard to tell as a driver if you know offhand how many laps you can go off a run. It's kind of hard to do strategy here. I just run the car out to whatever it can go to. When I have 2 laps of fuel left, I'll pit. And obviously I'll have to make 1 more pit stop. And that's where the strategy comes in, if you're going to pit later in the run or if you're going to pit early and hope for a late caution, which will give you the advantage of being out front unless everyone pits. So it's really a driver's perspective, a driver's choice. And if I'm a team owner right now, I'm going to be telling my drivers what I think they should do, and they can make their own decision from there.
The 32 getting around that 38, that's a TNT on an Unbound pass, but you see Twisted Navy and Big Spur still battling for position. P-Man in the 14 looking at this fight out of his rear view mirror. The Madman behind his Unbound teammate in the 22 Hurricane Lane. White Shadow putting the pressure on Tristan. Tristan losing positions left and right. It could be time for that 48 to come in, Terry.
Yeah, that 48 needs to... Looks like he does need to come in. The strategy gameplay in here is, if I was the Unbound team, I'm going to take as long as I can to go on pit road. You're going to use up all the fuel and tires that you can before you come down. Let the TNT guys all pit first. Have enough fuel at the end of the race just in case it does come down to fuel mileage, and you know that you're 2 laps to the good based off of everybody pitting and their pit cycle. It's going to be very important to the end of this race on who pits when. And I wish that we could get a counter on who pits when, because this is going to come down to a very encouraging finish for hopefully Unbound.
We'll see how it plays out. Mark the Fat Shark in the 18 has to make up time, and he's looking at this 2-car fight between the 21 of Davy Jones and the 14 of P-Man, headed down the longest straight into the beach. The 14 just gives a little bit of a love tap to the 21, but they continue undisturbed, and now Mark the Fat Shark is going to join this 2-car fight, and he's going to make it a threesome in the double apex before the double apex, down under that Honda bridge. Now looking at the 19 of Crotum, he is your new leader on this 63rd lap of competition. 85 laps the scheduled distance at Mid-Ohio, and so far, Wayne, this 19 has been dominant for most of these 62 laps.
Yeah, my pick to win is definitely going to be the 19. He has been a dominant car, like you've said, and he's had the speed and consistency. He's had a good mix of it throughout the race, and he's been showing us that he is definitely a dominant car and capable of getting this win. If we go green throughout this whole race and we don't have any issues with him, I think he could bring it all the way to victory lane, but it's anybody's game right now. Somebody can make a mistake, get a penalty, and the car behind them can catch up. We'll see how it goes as the race goes on here.
Way to take the low-hanging
Hurricane
fruit. I'm going with the 22 of Hurricane Lane. I think if we get a caution, that guy's got a good chance to win. He's going to rough the 19 up a little bit. We've seen it before, but way to take the 19. Class of the field, you're really stretching there with your race pick.
22 of Hurricane Lane putting the chase on, and he dips a lot of tires down under the corner one more time. I don't know if that was all 4 tires if you were watching the 22, but he's starting to either to get loose or get just a little bit impatient coming up behind his teammate in the 96, Kiefta, and Twisted Navy in the 32 just up ahead. Meanwhile, Nifty Agenda in the 6 car, he's getting a little squirrely through the carousel section. Will he be coming down pit road this time? No. The 6 continues on his quest with the 1 of Jacket, the 14 of P-Man just behind the 14, loses control on the last corner, and he gives up the position to Jacket, and now the 18 of Mark the Fat Shark right on his back bumper. Davy Jones in the 21 making his way through this first corner. Terry, they're starting to bunch up just after this cycle of pit stops. Less than 10 laps to go before this next round of pit stops begins. How do these drivers maintain a cool head? Their hands have got to be shaking on that controller.
Yeah, they need to throw every lap before this out the window. They need to focus on the final stretch. You're coming down to maybe 3 or 4 more pit stops left. I don't know the lap count, but if you're coming down to the end of it, you need to know you see the goal ahead of you. If you look at the 20, we're looking at the 21 now. On my screen, you got 4 cars in front of you. You need to be focused on picking them off one by one. Throw the teammates out the window. If they're holding you up, you need to go. You know, they need to just completely relax when they come down pit road and just go focus on the final run, because the adjustment that you make in the last couple pit stops could drastically affect how you finish in this race, and it could ultimately either gain you points or cost you the team win altogether.
Big Spur and P-Man, a couple of drivers who have been quick for Unbound tonight. You see Big Spur making his way down the long straight with Crotum chasing him down hard. Spur chasing down his teammate in the number 22 Hurricane Lane, but you see he drove it in way hot. Now going through that uphill left-hander, Crotum bearing down on Spur as he comes through that right-hander and under the Honda bridge. You can see Spur is either on worn tires or he's really putting the gas into it, Wayne.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely been having a consistent race, and most of these top 5 drivers have been too. But like you said before, with that 22 pick to win, I think he has a good chance too if that caution comes out, because he was on the back bumper of the 19 before. We remember during the beginning of stage 2. There goes the 19 in the pits. And like I was saying before, the 22, he knows how to use that front bumper. And if he can have some solid corners, he could definitely take over the 19 if it comes to that later on. But great race so far. I'm enjoying it, and pit strategy is starting to come into play here.
Down into this right-hander known as the Beach. White Shadow coming up behind Jeep, coming up behind Richie C, USA. Richie, who went around earlier today, he has not had the easiest of races, Terry, and now he's got to play his part for TNT.
Yeah, TNT, like I said, going into stage 3, they had a bit of a lead here. Now it's important for the rest of the team to gather around and to understand that you just need to maintain. You just need to use the biggest S word in this race, and that's survive. If you can just stay on the track and you can manage your tires and manage not screwing up on pit road, you have a chance of going to the super speedway round. Who cares what the points are at the end, as long as you're winning? Don't worry about the closeness of it. If you have to let a couple guys go, you have a 50-point buffer. Don't make the mistake of screwing up and going off course or wrecking somebody. That's going to be the downfall of TNT. If they can just play it smart, they're going to go to the next round here and have a chance to upset somebody.
Absolutely, they will. The 96 of Kiefta and the 24 of Bo having a very hard time out of that keyhole, Wayne, and these tires get worn, and these drivers have less of an opportunity to make mistakes. Not that mistakes were ever a good thing, but now more than ever, it should be better to be slow rather than fast and risk that mistake.
Yeah, Rick, we've been talking about it all night. Your tires are going to wear it down going through the run, and especially at the end of the run here. You got to take it slow and be more consistent instead of getting under the grass and getting that penalty if all 4 Goodyears are under there. But like I said, if I'm a driver, I'm just trying to stay consistent, be as fast as I can, but keep that car under control. If I need to drop some speed, I'm willing to do it. We're all distanced right now. We have at least, a second between most cars. So it's definitely time to keep the car stable, don't wreck it, get it to pit road, and keep on chugging here in our last stage.
The 96 of Kefta going around one more time under the Honda bridge, but you can just see how quick he really is, taking the position from Jeep and putting 2 tires up on that rumble strip, but he continues fast out of that first corner, now on lap 67 of 85, so there's less than 20 to go. Tristan, who continues to lose spots, have not come down pit road. That 48 is going to need a lot of help. Meanwhile, Mark the Fat Shark in the 18 being chased down by one driver behind him. I can't see who that is. And Crotum still leading handily at the front of this one. Terry, it's less than 20 to go. You've got one more pit stop to make. You're the crew chief on top of the box. Do you go now or do you wait until the very end?
I'm waiting until the end. If I'm TNT right now, I'm waiting. I'm doing everything possible to stay out on this track and gain any points that you can get. If I'm Unbound, I'm playing any strategy possible. There should be at least 2 pit stops left, if I believe. If it's around 18 to go, there should be 2 pit stops left. And there's still going to have to be some sort of saving because they pitted with 21 to go. So they're like 2 laps short. And if they did what I said to do at the beginning of the race, play the strategy. There's a car coming down the 9's down pit road right now. The 42 shoved the 96 off track of the 96 is wrecking. That might bring out a caution. It looks like he hit the wall hard enough to bring engine damage, and he's clogging up the track. It looks like he's stuck, and he just reset, and his car is not going off the jump. This might bring out the yellow and trap some of these guys that are on pit road. It doesn't look like he's up to speed. He's not up to speed at all.
He's going. By my screen, he's going once again. He's slow out of that first corner, but not what I would call race pace, Terry. He looks to be in trouble, but now he's just languidly driving around the outside. He almost goes out. He does go off the keyhole one more time. Big trouble for the 96 of Kefta, Terry.
Yeah, I believe that when we were talking to race control earlier before it, if they said that the way to bring out a caution is to clog the track or to have engine damage, and it doesn't look like his car is up to 100% speed. So we're going to have to get a contact with race control here and see if this is going to bring the caution out at some point in time. Caution is out.
Caution is going to come out with less than 20 laps to go. One more time, big thanks to TBR Pride, who is playing the role of pace car tonight. That number 57 Mustang will collect the remaining competitors one more time. There you see Crotum in the number 19 who led this race. Arguably, Wayne, the 19 has been the fastest car all night, but the last time a caution came out, he didn't get back up to the lead for 25 laps. He does not have that kind of time.
No, man, it's going to be hard. He definitely has the long-run car. But when it comes to these cautions and it brings all the field together, that 22 has a pretty big chance to get to his back bumper and help him make a mistake. Or the other way around, the 19 could help the 22 make a mistake. But if they get next to each other during these closing laps, this is definitely going to be a big battle between the 22 and the 19. And I'm looking forward to who's going to win. I think it's going to be either or of them, unless they both make a mistake.
Terry, looking back from this pace car, you can see that the 19 has been strong all day long. The 12 car sitting there right behind him before this pit stop cycle has been a big thorn in his side. It's TNT's race to lose, and where potentially could they lose this race?
Well, if you look behind the third place car in the 24, there's nobody behind them. All of those cars were on pit road. Everybody cycled down before the caution came out. So what's going to be majorly impressive is who's going to stay out. This is your chance to trap that 19 in traffic. if you can get him so far back that he doesn't have a chance to get back to you, this could be Unbound's chance. This is your one chance to take the track position that you so desperately needed. And you're going to be off strategy. So they could lose this race just by fuel mileage, if that. I mean, their track position's huge here, and he's not going to have it at the end of this pit road stop.
We'll see how they do. Now crossing on lap 70 of 85, so 16 laps to go. Wayne, do you gamble all the way to the end?
Man, that is the number one question, the $1 million question here tonight. I don't know, man. Depends on the driver's preference. If you want to go bold, I'd risk it, but I don't know. Personally, with a race like this, you have so many drivers and a lot of competition. I wouldn't risk it, but we are definitely going to see some drivers being bold and going for it here tonight. I don't know, man. It's all up to the driver's preference, but personally, I wouldn't risk it. We'll see how it goes, though.
We'll see indeed. So these drivers are going to come down pit road and get their, what could be their final adjustments or their penultimate adjustments before the end of this one. Fans at home, get on your phones, get on your computers, get on Twitter, Twitch, whatever you've got, and let everybody in your circle know it's going to be less than 15 laps to go when we take the green flag. They are not going to want to miss this one, and neither are you. But you've got a couple of minutes. We're going to take a break for ourselves while we get a drink. You should do the same. We'll be back with the green flag in just a moment.
Fans, let me get that green spam in the chat if you are ready to see that green flag come back out here today.
Is the 9 car on the lead lap by chance? Okay.
Back with you in the Fast Family League Showdown. We're getting ready to put this race to bed. The 19 of Crotum lining up behind the number 9 of Richie C USA. We'll see how he gets along. If he is on this lead lap, we'll see when they cycle back around. So far, it's the 9 of Richie, it's the 19 of Crotum sitting on this front row as we get a little closer to the end of this race. Drivers are starting to stack up, and we'll see how they get along. Certainly one more pit stop could be on the cards. Terry, how do you expect this restart to go?
Wild. We haven't seen what the 9 car can do. We haven't seen the 32 much tonight. The 12 car's been all over the place by himself. So as they take another pace lap around, it looks like I expect the 9 car to want to sail it in there and try to take the lead as quickly as possible. I mean, nobody has shown the speed other than the 22 to even keep up with that 19. Maybe the 22, but he can only stay up there for maybe 2 or 3 laps. But I expect it to be really, really aggressive. This could be your last restart next to somebody, so you want to get as big as a run as possible around them.
We'll see how they get along. One more lap under caution is what these drivers will see. So now you can see we have 14 laps remaining. It'll be lucky number 13 when we take the green flag. Looks like Crotum in the 19 starting first. You see Richie CUSA in second place. Going through this top 5 field, Crotum first, Richie second, Twisted Navy sitting in third. So the top 3 being locked out by Thursday Night Thunder, but they could be on far more worn tires. The number 12 car sitting in 4th place. That car being piloted by Racing Rocks. Rounding out the top 5 is Bo 77 in the 24 car. Sitting in 6th place is going to be Nifty Agenda. The number 14 of P-Man in 7th. Davy Jones in 8th, the 42 of Jeep in 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Jacket. By my count, Terry, one Unbound driver is in the top 10.
Yeah, that ain't good with the point situation. I expect for them to be off strategy somehow, some way. I'm very surprised with the guys that were on pit road when the caution came out that not many people other than the 9 stayed out. There was 6 or 7 on pit road when the caution was thrown, but not a whole lot of people playing the strategy. They all came back down pit road for some odd reason. I mean, maybe they just didn't think they had the car to do it, but that's a bit of a head scratcher to me. Or why the 9 car, who's the leader, is taking the outside and not the inside right now.
I believe the leader was the number 19 of Crotum, Richie CUSA, restarting in 2nd place.
Okay.
That's why the order looks like the way it does, but keep your eye on that 12 car being piloted by Racing Rocks. He is carrying the standard for Unbound, and we're going green with 14 laps remaining in this race.
I think the 9 car just jumped
Going
that
down
restart. Always off the track.
Big jump from Richie CUSA. He's
Wow.
off the track, and they're 4 or 5 wide coming out of that first corner. Coffee cloud colors of smoke being kicked up down the straight and into the keyhole. The 12 of Racing Rocks putting the bumper to the 19 of Crotum, shoving him out of the way, running him right hard, and the 12 losing control, putting 2 tires in the grass, and he loses all that speed. Cars are off out of the second corner, headed into 3. Heavy, heavy contact, Wayne.
Yeah, incredible racing so far, man. We got to give it 3 laps. This is when it starts to get calm, but this is the last stage. I think it's going to take more than 3. I think we're going to have hard racing the whole entire way. 19 is pulling away with the lead right now as you have everyone else piling behind, the whole pack behind him. 19 has really been showing us some speed today. And if he can keep it in front, we don't have any more cautions. He could be our race winner, but you never know what is going to happen with these last few laps here.
The 12 of Racing Rocks has a little bit of space up ahead and behind. The 24 of Bo getting right up to his rear bumper. The 12 sits in second. The 19 of Crotum up ahead, leading this one now with 13 laps to go. The 14 of P-Man putting all 4 tires on the inside of the grass there. There's Big Spur in the 38 coming out of this final corner, and the 96 of Kiefta getting loose out of that final corner, losing patience, and there's P-Man in the 14 all by his lonesome after putting all 4 down on the inside. So a rough start to this restart for a couple of Unbound drivers. There's Madman in the 3 getting smacked by his own teammate Hurricane Lane in the 22, and the 22 is trying to urge the 3 to go further. He gets a run on the 42 down the straight, headed into the beach, Wayne.
Yeah, it is incredible racing with the 3 car. We saw him being very aggressive back in stage 1 and stage 2. Oh, 22 almost gets him to the 3. He may have made a little contact there and couldn't quite get on his brakes in time. But this 3 car is really aggressive, and he wants to get up there. we were talking about the 22 before you said it was your prediction, and 22 is stuck with the pack right now, so it's all the 19's game. 22's in the grass too, all 4 tires. Not what Hurricane has been wanting to do. He's had a dominant car, but just can't put the power down here in the pack, and having some unfortunate incidents. The 19 is still your leader, and I believe he has a great chance of taking it to victory lane. I'll bring it back to you.
Terry, you mentioned that the 22 has been fast all night long, but he has made some mistakes that have crippled his run. In the end, is there anything Hurricane Lane can do to get closer to Crotum in the 19?
He needs a lot of cautions and a lot of help. I've been watching it back here in the back and trying to make a run up, and it just looks like he can't put the power down, and he also overdrives the corners way too much. I know there's guys in the chat that's saying that I'm a bit aggressive on road course. Well, yeah, I am. I'm very aggressive when it comes to road course racing, but some of the aggression we've seen out of the 22 tonight has been unwarranted. I've watched him more and more in the back, and I've just seen a lot of impatientness. There's a chance around this track. You have at least 5 passing zones on this 10-turn road course, and he's trying to make ones that aren't there. And I don't know what race control's saying, but I would imagine that they have people watching him with a close eye tonight.
The 22 of Hurricane Lane being chased down by the 9 of Richie, the 42 of Jeep, and the 14 of P-Man under the Honda bridge through the double apex, and now getting a little bit closer to that 24 car. It'll be 10 laps to go as they cross this line. The 6 of Nifty Agenda trying to keep his cool, but his teammate Davy Jones in the 21 really turning up the pressure. Back at the front of this one, the 19 of Crotum with a good lead over the number 12 of Racing Rocks. But Wayne, I've got to imagine the 19 is either saving his stuff or he's really trying to keep a good lead over the 12.
I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to tell right now. He's been cruising it in cruise control right now. That man is on a mission. He has, I believe, his teammate behind him, only a few cars behind. But other than that, the whole pack he has left. And it's just showing how fast of a car he's been tonight. Right now, he could either be trying to save or he's just cruising that car at full speed. You never know what these driver strategies are unless they're losing a lot of time. And it appears that he's doing pretty decent right now, just on cruise control, as I've said.
Indeed, Wayne, the number 1 of Jacket all by himself coming out of that second corner. And it's been trouble for the 1 car. He's gone around a couple of times, and you can see the pushed up hood on that gear wrench Camaro. The 14 of P-Man has gone around, and he now loses the position to Jacket. He sits in 15th place. And those are a couple of drivers that have had struggles all night long. Once again, Wayne, it sounds like it's better to be slow than to be reckless. Terry,
Indeed.
The 21 of Davy Jones catching up to the 6 of Nifty Agenda. Now these two are teammates with less than 10 laps to go. Is there any time for teammate strategy, or do you just have to go from here?
You still have a pit stop. We still have to account that there is a pit stop on the horizon here. You want to be smart. Don't be too aggressive. If I'm the 21 or the 6 right now, you're wanting to back the corners up as much as possible. Be very slow. You don't have pressure to the front. You don't have pressure to the rear. Just be consistent. You see all the cars coming down into the corner. You don't have very many people behind you, so you just need to be patient, be smart, and just run your race and understand that when you pit for that last time, you need to make sure it's efficient. You don't screw up on pit road, because that's going to kill your race.
Certainly the money stop, isn't it? You can see Bo 77
the 6 is in the wall,
trying to gain control. You say the 6 is in the wall, and that's Nifty Agenda, who's gone around just after the beach section, headed to the Honda bridge. Hurricane Lane getting right beside him, and Nifty Agenda, who was running a consistent race, just loses a bit of focus, and he's all 4 tires into the sand out of the double apex once more. Terry, big mistake for the 6.
Huge mistake for the 6. That is going to take him out of contention to even get a chance to get a top 10. This is not what TNT wanted to see. They're starting to lose those points that I talked about. You're going at the end of stage 2. You had a huge lead coming into it. And the more you let those teams and the top 10s go away, you start giving up 10, 15 points. to the other team, and that's what's going to draw them closer at the end of this race. But as we see in the chat, some of the guys that are in this race or that have watched it are saying that the clips could decide the winner of this race. So we're going to have to see who's going to send the clips in of people being way too aggressive, and what's it going to cost the other team to get them to that promised land.
Unofficially, you see those drivers coming down pit road for Unbound Racing will have to be judged at the mercy of those clips, as you said, Terry. The 96 of Kefta coming out just ahead of his teammate in the 14. P-Man struggling to come out of pit road, but he's got 4 fresh tires and fuel, so expect to see some quick times out of that 14. Tristan in the 48 one more time, getting all 4 tires off the racing surface, with Hurricane Lane and Richie right behind him. The 48 continues to make mistakes on the racetrack.
Yeah, going back here to the 10 and the 6, they're making heavy contact coming up through the beach area, coming down that long straightaway, making contact going into the turn. I believe that is turn 5. The 10 breaks very early. The 6 is back off the track and spinning again. Oh, but he saves it. Oh, he's bumping the 10 all the way around the corner, trying to get him to move. Looks like the 6 has a tad bit of lag going on. I can't tell if that's lag or just poor throttle management there, but he's beating the tar out of the back of the 10. Oh, the 10's off the track. The 6 follows him. The 10 wrecks. Gee, nasty for Unbound. An uncostly mistake for there as well.
Mistakes have been the M word of the race all night long. Wayne Nifty Agenda finally regaining control of his race car, but having some trouble getting himself in line, putting 2 tires into the grass and making his way through that carousel section. It's time for one final pit stop. Do you dare take 2 tires if you're all the way in the back?
Man, I would not do it. Doing that just ruins your race even more and makes you even more of a sad boy back there. You're already back there. You don't want to make your car even slower. You just want to hope that there's another caution. Maybe you can get your lap back if you're a lap down and get back in this thing. If not, if you're battling all the lap down cars, you just want to bring as many points as you can to your team, man. I know it's not satisfying being there in the back, but as many points as you could bring to your team is worth it, and every position counts.
I believe there's been a change for the lead. I believe the 12 car has overtaken the 19. Something has happened. Either he's saving fuel or he's backed it into the fence. But there has been a change.
At the front of this one, Tristan retakes the lead from this one. The 3 of Madman, all 3 tires under the grass
38 around.
one more time. And another stop and go for the 3. And there's a lot of cars with a lot of trouble all over the place. And the 3's off the track one more time, trying to regain control of that race car. And it's just a mess all over the place for a lot of these drivers. Unbound and TNT alike. 3 car with all 4 tires off the corner in 4 one more time. Gene Asti in the 10 recovers control. Kefta in the 96 all by himself. Terry, who is going to win this race, and who's going to be able to keep all 4 tires on the racing surface?
I believe if that 19 is saving fuel, he's in the catbird seat. That 12 car looks like he's pushing the car just a tad bit more than that 19 is. I don't know if the 19 had made a mistake at all, but he has fell off the pace drastically. That 12 car has checked out. If the 19 is saving fuel, which the 12 is a full straightaway away. You know, if he's saving gas back there, that 19 car is easily going to take this win because the 12 car's not going to be able to make it. He's going to have to pit, but it doesn't look like the 12 is saving anything of his equipment. So if the 19 is saving, this is his chance to try to stay close, but don't get too far away.
5 laps to go. No more cautions for the remainder of this race. Crotum carefully going around that first corner, and we'll see if strategy gives Crotum the cycle. He's already won the first 2 stages, and he's looking to go 3 for 3 at the end of this race. The 22 of Hurricane Lane getting 2 tires inside of the white line and carefully chasing down that 19, but Mark the Fat Shark in the 18 sitting right behind him as they go through the keyhole. There's second in the green, third in the yellow. Still plenty of points to race for. Terry, you've taken your last pit stop. Now the only thing left is to go for it.
Yeah, well, it's time for Unbound to make some moves that they normally wouldn't make. Aggression's getting higher. We're within 5 laps to go of this race. If you're seeing a TNT guy around you, you're trying to hustle the car to get by him, but you're also trying not to make the mistake of getting off the track and having to serve a stop-and-go penalty. This is crucial for Unbound to try to get max points here. They might not win this race. They have Racing Rocks leading it, but we don't know if he's going to make it on fuel. I do not believe that he has pitted. I don't believe he's pitted at all. According to Magic Mike in the chat, the 19 saving, he can hear him coasting. So this is important. If the 19 saving fuel and the 12 is not, who is going to make it at the end of this race? It's going to be crucial to watch the final 2 laps to see who pitted at the right time to win this race.
It's going to be 4 laps to go as the leaders cross the line. The 12 currently leading this race, and we'll see how he gets on. The 3, 24, and 1 all making heavy contact with each other out of the carousel through these last 2 corners. That's Madman in the 3, Bo in the 24, watching from the 42 of Jeep, headed into this first corner, and the 3 trying to get every advantage he can, but there's just only so much room to fight for. Wayne, they're getting closer and they're getting more impatient as the end draws near. 3 with a big shunt to the 24 in the keyhole.
Man, the 3 has to be one of, if not the most aggressive driver of the night. We've seen him make so many mistakes, send it on these corners, and now he's showing everybody that he doesn't want anybody in his way. He wants to take as many positions as he can. And speaking of the 19 before, as you guys were talking about, he's definitely saving fuel right now. Is it going to pay off? I don't know. We'll have to see. The leader right now, you said he didn't pit. So I believe this is all the 19's game. If he doesn't mess up like that, oh, that could cost him. We'll see what happens. But with that 3, we're definitely going to see some more crazy racing. We'll see how it goes.
3 laps left as the number 12 of Racing Rocks crosses that line. We'll see how his strategy plays out. The number 19 of Crotum having a big mess up. You can see the 38 of Big Spur having some connection issues. Hopefully this isn't the way it ends for that Sit Guard Mustang. The 14 of P-Man goes around at the, that's the 41 car. Looks identical to the 14, but that is the 41 being piloted by White Shadow, who goes around at the Honda Bridge. Big Spur with 4 tires off in the double apex section. Now with the Madman in the number 3 car, who's slow out of turn 1. I don't know if he's just come out of pit road or if he's running low on fuel. Something could be going on with
I think it's fuel.
3. It could be fuel for the 3. Back with the Madman, slow through the keyhole and slow acceleration. Looked like he tried to gamble, and there's just no life out of that 3 car, wiggling down the backstretch, and he's trying to nearly gets in front of the 1 car going down the back. No idea what the 3 was thinking there. Possibly just loose on worn tires and just a low fuel tank. Terry, I'm at a loss for words, just thinking at what's going on and how could the 3 car end up so short on gas.
Well, like I said, it was imperative for people to pay attention to what lap they were pitting on. If you look up at the top of your screen whenever you're looking at your tires and your fuel, if you pit with more than 2 laps to go left on fuel, you're going to mess up at the end of the race. And the guy in the lead right now, the 12 car, if he played it right, he pitted when the light turned from 1 to 0, and if he did that consecutively, then he should have enough fuel to win this race. But if he did not, then we're going to watch that 19 coast on by and take the win. But I'm listening to the 12's motor right now, and he is definitely saving the heck out of some fuel. He's barely getting on the throttle here. You barely hear the engine churning. So this is going to be interesting to see who runs out first.
It's all about execution.
Back through this field, riding with the 19 of Crotum, and you called it, Wayne. It's all about execution. The 3 car being monitored by race control for aggressive driving. You saw him shunt the 6 after nearly clipping the 1 car down the backstretch, riding along with the 19 of Crotum, who's chasing down the number 12 of Racing Rocks. He comes across this line, white flag is in the air for car number 12. Does he have the fuel to make it? 2 1/3 miles to go, and you just saw a couple of cars went off the track there. That looks to be
They're
the
doing some
38,
off-roading.
a big spur. Doing some off-roading at Mid-Ohio, headed into the keyhole, Wayne. Racing Rocks has this lead.
Man, this is down to the line. I did not expect Racing Rocks in the 12 car to have this much fuel, but as you said before, and as we've been saying, fuel strategy is a big key in tonight. And Volts, I think you're right. He may have enough. He's been just barely having the perfect pit stops. So he might have enough fuel to make it to the end here. And if he does, we're going to have a new winner. And the 19 is not going to take it like I predicted. But we still have a few more corners. You never know. Drastically saving fuel through these last few corners. Can Racing Rocks 24 in the 12 car make it to the checkered flag? Not losing fuel, and without that 19 catching up, it's down to the line right now, fans. Who do you think is gonna get it?
The 12 car coming through the carousel section one more time. Wayne, he could coast his way to the end. It's been a dominating show from Crotum all race long, but the 12 of Racing Rocks out of the left, right, he's going to get the win at Mid-Ohio for Unbound Racing. Racing Rocks in the Advanced Auto Parts Mustang coming home in first place. The drivers will come around to collect the checkered flag, and oh, what a points battle we're going to have at the end. Fans, stay tuned. We are going to have interviews and results right after this.